What is happening, San Diego? Great Thursday morning to you. Late morning now, heading toward the lunch hour. Annie and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We are doing our regular Thursday spring into summer into late summer thing, which is hustling down the hallway of our Odyssey studios, finishing our little kibosh with our pals, Ben and Woods, Tony Gwynn Jr. here today. Chris, of course, on a cruise somewhere out in the universe. And then all of a sudden you look up. Oh, let me not leave out. Grabbing a whole bunch of free pizza for later. At least that's me. Grabbing a whole bunch of free pizza for later. And then looking up and going, oh, my God, it's 10:58.
Yeah.
Let's run in the studio. The show's about to start. And here we are. Eddie Halbin, Braden Soprenet is here. He's been running things behind the scenes the whole time. It was him the whole time, Braden the entire time. And I'm Craig Elsten, and we're together in our Odyssey studios, and we're here till 2, and we've been here for the last hour doing the round table. And, you know, I don't know, Eddie. This team is so good right now, and they're playing so well that we're basically almost just left agog here on the radio to just talk about their greatness.
It's so true. I mean, I was thinking about it yesterday. It's very hard to find vulnerabilities with this team. I mean, certainly there's always things that you know that you can improve on as a player, or situations that you look at and you'll ask yourself, did I make the right decision here or whatnot? But for the most part, I mean, this is a team that, like I said in the roundtable, it's so locked in that you just feel confident with their belief in themselves right now and their ability to get things done. It doesn't always work out, but you look back at that Houston series, really good team, really intense games. They could have won on Tuesday. It wasn't like they were out of that game. They easily could have swept.
One of the best games of the year.
Right. So you just look at a team that I think understands who they are and sees the task at hand and really has their blinders on in terms of we're just going after it.
You know, what have we heard forever? If you're a fan of sports, you've heard it forever in so many sports, unless you're a fan of, English Premier League, where they don't have a playoff. In which case, the goal is be the best the whole year, because you better, because if you don't finish first, you're not number one. Otherwise, what do you hear in American sports? The goal is to be playing your best at the end when the playoffs arrive. Yeah. And that's what we have with the San Diego Padres. We have this team in their final form, because really all year, and especially in the first 100 games of the year, it's not crazy. It's not like that we're getting gaslit to remember that they were 50-50. In the first 100 games of the year, and that it's been the last 62 games where we've seen them be such an incredible team. But through most of the year, it's been one thing is really strong on the team and another thing is falling off. This area is really hot. This area is an area of concern. There was a long time that area of concern was the bullpen, right? Oh, man, we've got Suarez, and who else do we got back there? There was a period of time more recently when it was the starting rotation. Hey, hang on. Yeah. There was a while where there were only 3 spots in the starting rotation you could even believe in. And the other 2 were like, oh, duck, watch through your eyes. Mazur's starting. What's going to happen? And now you've got a starting 4 and really 5. I don't want to throw Martin Perez out. But
nor do I.
Yeah, but we're thinking playoff-wise. Like, I don't think there's another team in baseball that has 4 more prepared, ready, in-the-moment starters than the Padres now, because for the last 2 starts, Dylan Cease has been dominant Dylan again. And that would have been kind of like the last lingering concern was like, well, man, Dylan Cease for about 8 starts has been pretty mediocre. Well, the last 2 starts, he's thrown 14 1/3 shutout innings.
Yeah, and from Cease's last start to the start that he had last night, the Padres starters have a collective .70 ERA. So an ERA under 1 by quite a bit there.
Seems good.
Yeah, seems really good. And look, I mean, no one's going to be perfect all season long. I think that what they did was instill the groundwork for coming out of those slumps in positive ways. So, we're going to get out of this, but in the meantime, we're still going to do our processes the right way. We're going to continue to approach games and the way that we strategize in games and the way that we approach our between starts or as a position player, your work before every game. the same way, so that when we do come out, and there was a belief that they would come out of it, they would be in a much better spot for having kind of gone through that and still stuck with the processes that they had. So I think that they set themselves up for it, but you just never know, right? I mean, if you asked every player in that clubhouse, I'm sure that not all of them knew that they were going to get to 3 games over 500 right now. I don't know what they are there.
I think they're 21.
21, okay.
Over
Either
because,
20 plus games
they
over
pushed
500.
to 21. They fell back one, and then they should be.
Yeah.
They are 87 and 66.
There you go. There you go. So I just think, too, you look at Dylan Cease, and he has been the workhorse of this rotation. I mean, it's a good point that he has had the most innings of anyone in this rotation. And so it's understandable that there may be some ups and downs, but he was dialed in. They were aggressive with him. He was able to be efficient, I think, because of that. They were not aggressive successfully. And a lot of those at-bats lasted like 1 or 2 pitches, but that's what you want. Like, that's the name of the game, right? They were getting themselves out. So you just see a rotation and a team, I think, that is really locked in right now.
You do. By the way, we start because first hour was taken up by the roundtable. We start with the Padres Deep Dive Hour today. It's brought to you by Frozen Ropes Baseball and Softball Training Facilities. Now introducing the Freezy Batting Cage membership for just $79 a month. For more information, visit SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. So, this got me thinking about the history of Padres baseball. As we know, it's a modest history, right? This is the 10th team in Padres history to win 85 or more games. It's just the 18th winning season in the history of the franchise. So our playoff trips have been generally few and far between, with a couple of pockets, right, including this most recent pocket. Mm-hmm. And it just got me thinking this morning, Annie, that I think this is the best Padres starting 4 in terms of what you would use in a playoff. I think this is the best Padres starting 4 in any playoff season. Like, I was trying to think through it. And
for the rotation?
For the rotation.
I mean, I don't know. You would know better than me with your memory, but it seems like a really strong starting 4. And even Martin Perez is a strong starting 5.
Yes.
And then a strong bullpen. It's a little knock on Formica here. I mean, it's very threatening.
Well, like, take, for example, what could challenge it? Obviously, this rotation is better than the last one because the difference is a couple of players, right? Obviously, you're carrying over Darvish and Musgrove. The Snell for Cease move, I think, is currently rating as a minor upgrade for San Diego. Obviously, 2022 Snell and 2023 Snell were 2 different things. 2022 Snell was pretty unreliable going into the playoffs. I think Cease right now is showing you that form you'd have a lot more confidence in. And then that brings you to the 4th spot, which is Michael King versus Sean Manaea / Mike Clevenger. No contest. No contest on the 4th side, on the 4th spot. Okay, back to 2020. They didn't even have a rotation in 2020. What do they have? They had Davies starting the Stammen out of the bullpen.
It was
Paddock.
always
Paddock,
shout
Davies.
out Craig Stammen.
Yeah.
He had a great opener start.
Paddock, Davies, and the bullpen. That was their literal rotation going into 2020. They won a series that way.
Didn't Paddock get hurt too, or maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah. So long ago. The mid-2000s teams had an ace in Jake Peavy, had a great number 2 for sure. They had a great number 2 in Chris Young. Did they have the depth of this team? I don't think that they did. I'm looking at it right now, and Clay Hensley, a reduced Woody Williams at age 39. Those would be your 3 and 4 starters in 2006, for example. All right, well, what about a great team, right? I mean, no one can beat the ace of the 1998 Padres. Kevin Brown is the best ace the Padres have ever had. Right? I don't think that's I think that's beyond dispute. Well, you got Andy Ashby, Sterling Hitchcock.
Yeah.
You're number 3.
That's a good rotation.
Had a couple good playoff starts. Sterling Hitchcock had a 3.93 ERA in the regular season. I would not put him at the same level as Michael King, who's top 10 in ERA.
What was it in 2022? What was
2022? It was Darvish 1, Snell 2,
Snell, Joe,
Musgrove, Clevenger.
Still pretty good.
Good.
But I think this one's better.
This one's better.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like,
Yeah.
all our playoff rotations in franchise history are at least good
Yeah.
because they were good enough to make the playoffs, right? But heck, all the way back to 1984, and Eddie Lee Whitson and Eric Schau and Dravecki and Thurmond. I think this is a stronger rotation than 1984. So it's just wild that they've got the best bullpen they've ever had. And they're going into the playoffs the way these guys are pitching and the way they're lined up, and with the return of the health of Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove and their effectiveness, I think they're as lined up as well as they've ever been.
And that's a big word, the health. And while you did lose Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove for a chunk of the season, they're healthy when it matters most. That is a big deal for this rotation. I mean, that is going to be, to me, a difference maker. When you look at other teams, obviously, that are contending for playoff shots, it is the health of their rotation. It is the health of their team and overall, but especially their rotation. And I think when you're talking about one-run games or really close games or the type of, defense wins championship type games that you can get in the playoffs, to be able to deploy a starting rotation like this, but then turn it over to a lockdown bullpen whenever you want. It's a huge threat. I mean, it makes the Padres really dangerous, and that's another thing. Like, you've got a healthy starting rotation, a healthy bullpen. I don't believe in jinxes, so I'm fine saying that. As I did knock on Formica though, like 20 times. But
so,
yeah. So okay,
yeah,
fine.
So
Gosh,
you do believe
darn
in
it.
it.
What I'm saying is, like, I just think that they've really gotten themselves to a point where they trust one another too, in the sense of, like, okay, if I'm out, next guy's coming in. Next guy's got this, and they've got the type of pitching staff that they can do that. And also shout out Ben Fritz and Ruben Niebla and all those guys that work on them with pitching, because they're dialed in.
They truly are. And a couple folks in the chat are like, wasn't Hitchcock incredible in the playoffs? Yes, that's what I said. He was. He was the National League Championship Series MVP. He won 2 games. He beat Tom Glavine in Atlanta. Not to be forgotten, not to be minimized. He was tremendous. I understand that comparison is the thief of joy. This is the example of that, is we're saying that this current rotation is great and it can leave someone to feel hurt. Like, well, what about this guy? He was really good. Yeah, no, he was. They were all really good. By definition, every playoff rotation is really good. Now we're picking between our favorite kids, But I think this year's team is the best positioned.
And the health plays a part. I mean, I don't know enough about it. I wouldn't be able to tell you who started the year with them and was healthy and finished the year with them in the playoffs. But the health, you have the top 5. Make sure I'm right on that. You have the same pitchers that you started the year with, really.
Minus Waldron for Perez.
Right. And okay, yes. And Waldron, by the way, when we tell the story of the 2024 Padres, we will always mention Matt Waldron and what he was able to do for this Padres team for a huge chunk of the season. But yeah, I mean, like, for the most part, like, you are going in there with everybody intact, and that's a big deal.
Yeah, and of course, it wasn't the rotation. It was at the beginning of the year. You're 100% right. But then very quickly thereafter, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Very quickly thereafter,
exactly.
Musgrove was hurt. Darvish was hurt.
But better then than now.
Correct. Because it's all in that sense, and we talked about that earlier in the week. In that sense, it's truly worked out that, like, what a boon it is that Musgrove got that time off and isn't dealing with an elbow spur causing him increased pain because he pitched through it for 6 months.
And that didn't sink the team, because you had the Matt Waldrons and the Randy Vasquezes that were able to continue to carry the torch while Darvish and Musgrove were out. I mean, that could have sunk the Padres in terms of just not being able to overcome those injuries, and 2 aces in your rotation. So, I mean, there's a lot of that has worked out well for the Padres in that situation. And then you've got the 2 aces coming back and ready to give everything they have, and fresh, Pan, I know you're in the chat, fresh legs and fresh arms.
Yeah, this has been, it's been an absolute joy. I mean, I've said it before, and if there's some negative guy, positive guy, whatever, I try to be consistent and just tell you how I feel. I don't remember a team in my life that I have in baseball, I'll be very clear, in baseball, a team in my life that I have rooted for, that I've supported through the course of a year, that I went into the playoffs with a higher degree of belief than this team. Like, I get it, and I have to say it because we're on the radio, and I don't want to be what Annie doesn't believe in. Okay, but so anything can happen. anything can happen. 2 weeks from now, we could be talking about the denouement of the team because they lost on Tuesday and they lost on Wednesday. And we'd be in here for the end of the season. That could be 2 weeks from now. I have to be ready for that as a professional, right? That it could happen 2 weeks from now. And that wouldn't ruin, in my opinion, this season. This has been, would it ruin the ending? Yes. Completely ruin the ending. Kind of like the final season of Lost. Like, what was up with that finale? But it was still a great show, right? This has been one of the best baseball shows I've seen in my life. It has been enjoyable. It has been heartfelt. It's got emotion. It's got drama. It's got comedy. It's got it all. This is an action winner. And I think they're going to go all the way. I think they've got the ability to get to the end. I've never felt that way, even in 98. Like, they had to face the Braves, like the best team. They had to face a 100-win Astros team with Randy Johnson going 10-1 and Bagwell being MVP. Like, they had such a difficult path. They were underdogs. I look at the other teams now and I go, I actually like our team over theirs. I look at the Dodgers. I like our team over theirs. I like our team over the Brewers. The Phillies are a great team, but the way Suarez has been pitching, the way Sanchez has been pitching, like, I kind of like our team over theirs too. So who knows what's going to happen? But this has been incredible to see what's come together with this group.
Yeah, and there's a comment in the chat that season ago, and even going into the season, there was a lot of talk about all the holes that the Padres had to fill, and A.J. Preller deserves his kudos, and he certainly does, because he pulled all the right levers this year in terms of getting the guys in that they needed, and that could really round out this roster. I think, so I agree. I don't like to get too ahead of myself on the playoffs, only because, it's like anything can happen, et cetera, et cetera. But the reason that this team seems different to me is what I said before. There just aren't very many vulnerabilities. You look up and down that roster, you look at every position group, the infield, the outfield, the bullpen, the bench, the starting staff, and you just don't see this like letdown anywhere. Yeah. And to me, you can look at all these other teams. Honestly, I haven't looked too closely at I know the Phillies went through a pretty rough time, but then they seem like they came out of it. So I'm not sure what theirs are right now. But the Dodgers, you can certainly look and see it's the pitching and maybe the bottom of their lineup, right? Yeah. And maybe even their bench, right? The Diamondbacks, certainly the pitching and the bullpen and some streakiness too in their lineup. So like I said, like you can kind of just go through it and you look at the Padres, there's just not really that.
Why are we enjoying the best of Padres baseball? When we come back on the Deep Dive Hour, this is the least statistical thing I think I've ever brought up in the Deep Dive Hour, but I've got two lingering images in my mind. One from 2021, right around this exact time, 2021, and one from yesterday, and how different things are in that period of time, and how stitched together this team is. We'll talk about it when we come back. Andy and Elsten, we're underway. We're going till 2. Came off the round table. Hope you're enjoying it. Padres baseball. If you're a Padres fan, remember these days. We should be going out to 10,000 maniacs. These are the days. That's what these are the days right now for the Padres. Enjoy them right here on 97.3 The Fan. haven't heard this one in a while, actually.
These are days
We'll remember. Natalie Merchant, 10,000 Maniacs. These are days. And, I don't mind sitting in just a happy pocket for a minute. We have to do 20 hours a week. I don't mind sitting in a happy pocket for a minute. This is as good as it gets. We're watching great baseball, a great team that we can believe in, a team that's all for us. Only big league team in town in the major professional sports. Not to diss our San Diego Wave FC, who will be discussed later. Big win last night.
Congrats.
SDFC's coming next year. They got to try and fight their way into this bandwidth. Yeah. They got to find their groove within this groove. Because this groove is where it's at in San Diego. This is what we are. We're a baseball town now. We're a baseball town. Used to be a football town. Football team left. We're a baseball town now. Love our college basketball team. We'll love our college football team as it grows and develops. We'll love our soccer teams. We do. We support our women's soccer team better than anyone. I'm sure the men's team is going to be right behind. But this is a baseball town, and we are being given beautiful baseball. We are being given heartwarming baseball. We are being given exciting baseball.
And the players are enjoying it just as much as the fans. I mean, I think that especially the ones that were here last year too, I think they're really loving the fact that this is the kind of team they can be in front of these kinds of sellout crowds.
Yeah. And so to pay off the tease, something happened yesterday. I tweeted about it. You can follow me on Twitter if you want, 619 Sports. You can. I'm on there sometimes. Not often. Not every day.
Little plug right there.
No, I mean, just in case, whatever. Because Ben and Woods brought it up. Follow me on Instagram at 619 Sports and Life. That's where I put happy pictures from life.
Not sad pictures?
Well, I try not to.
Okay.
I mean, who puts sad pictures on Instagram?
I mean, someone probably, but...
I'd almost like to see it. I don't really see that.
Instagram is really like the happy moments of people's lives, right?
It is. Maybe someone's got a picture of them with, getting knocked on the head or something. I don't know.
People do there's sometimes chicks will cry about things.
Right. Ugly cry pic.
Yeah, and it's or they're crying out of happiness, or I guess that's a happy thing still. All right, I'm
back on
track.
Right back onto the rails.
Right.
As Fernando Tatis Jr. homers in the bottom of the 8th inning, of course the Padres dugout celebrates. Manny Machado steps up and homers. And as Manny's circling the bases, Fernando's doing his own circling, walking around the dugout going, "This is our home. This is our home," pointing. Then those two guys have, of course, they've got the whole thing. They've got all the choreographed celebrations. They've got all the Polaroid pictures are being taken. And then Donovan Solano steps up and he homers. And I see Manny bleeping Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. crawling over the railing of the dugout. Not walking up the steps, crawling over the railing like they're 19 freshmen in college baseball.
Yes.
To go crazy. Dancing, jumping, hugging, celebrating Solano. Celebrating Solano's homer to make it 4. But celebrating that Donovan is that guy, that he followed the two big trucks, little Donovan, and he put it out and made it back to back to back. Right. And it's like this team's superstars back each other's play, back one another, and back all of their teammates, too. I know we've been in enough locker rooms in our adult professional lives to know that is not always the case.
Yes. And I had a few conversations about this with some players recently, and it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because some guys have gone deep into the playoffs or even won the championships with teams that are not as united as they say the Padres are. And some guys talk about the ego that might have been, in certain other clubhouses, because there definitely is ego. I mean, there's ego, there's healthy ego, and then there's ego. And there's guys that are kind of on their own plans, and then there's guys that kind of come together. And look, the winning helped them. The winning helped them because as they won, it kind of unites you. But then they did the rest of the work. They did the rest of the work of every time a new guy came in there. It's not just a cliche. When Mason McCoy came in there and had to was given the opportunity to play between, at that time it was Manny and Xander at second. Those two guys came over to him right away. And hey, man, whatever you need, welcome. We're here. Like, it's a clubhouse that, while there are superstars in it, the David Peraltas and the Donovan Solanos are just as important and just as meaningful and just as valuable as some of those other superstars, or the guys with the big long contracts, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that it's a clubhouse that you see that on the field and you see that in their celebrations. And it's helping them, no doubt about it. I mean, I think they're really enjoying, they're having fun playing together.
So it brought to mind something that's been brought up and tossed at me as just someone who talks and covers the Padres for years. It was just about this time. I'm not going to have the heart to go look it up because it was a series in September in 2021. I'm pretty sure it was in St. Louis when Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. got into it in the dugout.
Now, they were already in a collapse then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The team was in a collapse.
Yes.
Yes.
And Nando, pouted coming out of an at-bat. And Manny confronted him, and it was that famous picture. I mean, you saw it for him finger pointing, saying, "It's not about you. It's not about you." And that was held up for a very long time as the end of the case. Case closed. Manny and Tatis hate each other. This team will never have good chemistry. Our superstars don't get along. We're always going to be a room conflicted. It's part of the thing that fed the false narrative we've been dealing with this summer. Oh, Tatis goes away, the team plays better. Therefore, the team's better without Tatis. All of that, to me, takes root from that picture in 2021, from that moment, from seeing the two superstars at loggerheads fighting in the dugout in an honest moment where Manny was trying to calm a young, exuberant player down. The emotional maturity of this team. What's another thing that happened in 2021? The swag chain. There was a lot of individualized celebration with that team. It was a lot more flash. It was a lot more, pizzazz to it. This year's team's celebration is always about lifting someone else up. Like when they do the Polaroid, even when it's a solo homer, you always see someone bringing in someone else into the picture, like always lifting the boats up a little higher. And the difference in that with the same two human beings, Manny and Fernando, 3 years earlier, pointing fingers, yelling. 3 years later, dancing, hugging, celebrating their teammates, celebrating one another. I think it's huge. They've grown together as human beings.
Yeah, I know what you're saying here. I think that moment in 2021 also had to do with like some butting of heads on the coaching staff, some butting of heads throughout the rest of the clubhouse in certain situations. I think they're both leaders. I really do. I think that they're both. Tatis is a leader and Manny is a leader, and they both bring different things to the clubhouse. And yeah, they totally get along and they totally celebrate each other. And I think a misconception about last year is that they hated each other. And that is not true. That clubhouse liked each other last year. They remind me of that all the time. It wasn't a clubhouse that hated each other, but they still didn't have the connection that this clubhouse, at least for a few guys that I've talked to, that they would say this clubhouse has, in the sense of like, everybody's pulling on the same rope, right? Everybody's pulling on the same side of the rope, whatever that phrase is. And part of that is the winning, right? Like part of that is the winning, but also the buying in. They all bought in. They all kind of decided that they were going to be this kind of team or this kind of organization. This is how they're going to run their clubhouse and everything. So there are definitely differences, and you do see maturity in all of them. I think you see maturity in even some of the more older guys, So hopefully that's the case. Like you would want that to be the case, right? Like I hope that these guys aren't the same guys this year that they were last year or the year before. I hope that there is some personal growth and some maturity happening along the way, because it would certainly help in a lot of ways.
I truly see where we are as an extension of where we began. I think on the field, we've seen A.J. Preller's vision come to reality. He's always envisioned this full strength, everyone together, everyone playing at the top of their range team. This has been the team he's been dreaming of building for years, and that dream didn't always come to fruition.
Yeah.
This year, that vision has come together on the field, but furthermore, what's happened off the field that leads to what happens on the field. Mike Schilt came in, he made choices. He's essentially on a 1-year deal. Yeah, it's a 2-year deal, but if the Padres went 76 and 86 this year, Homie was out the door with AJ. Like that's they were in a precarious situation. No one wants to talk about it now because they succeeded.
I mean, we talked about AJ being on the hot seat at the beginning of the season for sure, you
Yeah.
know, and Mike Schilt too. I mean, look, he was on a kind of a contract that you're right. After this year, he would be a lame duck. I wouldn't be surprised if they look at his contract and perhaps extend him even for future years because
Absolutely.
that he's not that next year, you know. So what I'm only saying with that is that like the storylines that we were talking about at the beginning of the season are not the same storylines that we're talking about now.
Correct.
Right.
But in the I only bring it up to create that context that was a risky situation, right? You're coming in, you had your previous job, you had success, then you lost it, then you're out, you're in this organization, but where are you as a manager, Mike Schilt? Are you getting other interview opportunities?
Sure.
Or are you really getting other chances in the big leagues? This might be your last chance. And I really, you know, he's never going to admit it. He'll say an aphorism and he'll chuckle, but like I really think he came into this year going, this might be my last chance, and I'm going to do it my way. And I'm going to do it the way I believe is absolutely the right way, and that is to create this togetherness, to create this situational team, right? To ball talk, starting with the Bogarts move, all of the difficult decisions that have been made over the course of the season, and there have been some along the way. It all came through these cultural choices that we're gonna preach togetherness, we're gonna preach situationality, we're gonna subsume the individual for the team, and it's all together now. Now you see that final form. You see the final product out of the oven.
Yeah. I think definitely Mike Schultz also staying consistent through the down times with his messaging. You know, he didn't change. He didn't show the clubhouse he was going to be someone different if they were losing. I think that helped a lot, and I think that the clubhouse itself helped. I think that they were. I do think that they were embarrassed by last year. I think that there are players in there that don't agree with everything that even has gone on this year, but they want to win, and they wanted to not be the team that they were last year. And they're willing to sacrifice some certain things so that the team has a better chance of winning. And we've seen that on and off the field. And I think that part of that too, like, look, you know, even Manny had a story last year. I think it was, I'm sure it was Kevin that he did it with, that talked about how, you know, he isn't necessarily the leader that is the prototypical type. You know, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to rah, and I'm going to this and that. He's going to go out in the field. He's going to post. He's going to do his work. He's going to set an example, which he's done this year. And he is still also cheering these guys on left and right? But I think that the rest of the clubhouse also took, and they had already done that last year, but even more guys took initiative to be like, we're not going to put this all on Manny. It's not just going to be Manny that has to carry this. There's going to be leaders throughout this clubhouse. And that's what happens when they have these meetings. They call them the leadership meetings. It's Manny, it's Jake, it's Profar, it's I think Arise is in there now. I'm probably missing people. Xander. So there's just a different group, a collective in there. Tatis that I think helps with the entire clubhouse flow. Joe's another one. What I'm trying to say there is like it's a more collective feel.
Yeah, and I believe in my heart that the stars and the core veterans of this team learned from last year, that they experienced in their winter a winter of their discontent, and they realized what they did to our beloved Peter Seidler, and that his last team was the most disappointing team the Padres have ever had. And this year they wear his initials, they wear his heart on their chest, metaphorically, and they have played that way all year long. They really have. This has been a team that sacrificed for one another. Now, listen, Luis Arise never played under Peter Seidler. Jackson Merrill never played under Peter Seidler. Yeah, and we could go down the list of all that. Michael King, Higashioka, so on and so on and so on. Right? But the leaders on this team, the guys who have been here through that, I do believe there was a lesson learned, because what I see in 2024 is swag meeting maturity.
I think that they were embarrassed. I really do. And I think that they felt kind of silly after everything that happened last year. And I think that there was some looking in the mirror and how can we be better? And I think that the guys that came in, when Luis Arise came in, he loved talking to Tony Gwynn Jr. about Tony Gwynn. And he bought right into, hey, I'm gonna, you know, he had other heroes that he had grown up with, but he of course knew Tony Gwynn, but he wanted to look into it further, right? And you had David Peralta, who jumped right in. Donovan Solano embraced the culture that was there, but also added their own 2 cents to it to help this clubhouse along. became real big chemistry guys. Martin Perez, he could have come in and been like, who knows how long I'm going to be here for. The second this guy came in, he was talking about what we did over the last month. My man, you've been here a week, but he was talking about this team as a whole over the last month because he bought in. He looked at this clubhouse and he said, I want to be part of this. This is cool. This is great. Love this group. And he has been now someone that's been helping with the other Latin guys and being someone that's been a sounding board. So you get a lot of guys that have just like really bought in and fit in. And that's been, I think helped a lot in this clubhouse.
These are the days that we'll remember.
And Jackson Merrill.
Jackson Merrill. There's just so much. There's so much.
Yeah.
The stars are starring. The role players are playing their roles. The rookie has brought the enthusiasm. Again, it's the show that we love. It's the season that's got everything. It's got it all. It's got comedy, drama. It's got great stars. It's got the shiny rookie. It's got it all. Does it have the Hollywood finish? I know they've got it in them. We just have to wait to see.
I think they have as good a shot as anyone.
I do too. When we come back on the Padres Deep Dive Hour, the champagne is starting to pop around Major League Baseball. First two teams have clinched playoff berths. Padres' magic number is down to a one-hand size. We'll talk through some clinching scenarios when we come back on the Padres Deep Dive Hour. A reminder that baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Switch to T-Mobile and you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Use their savings calculator. Find out how at T-Mobile.com/switch. Clinch scenarios, one of the favorite things you could ever talk about. Next on The Fan. The one team that nobody talks about is the first team to clinch a Major League Baseball playoff berth in 2024.
Hey-yo, Milwaukee.
I think it's the most overlooked team in Major League Baseball this year, the Milwaukee Brewers. They're darn good. Just as good as the best teams in the league.
We don't talk about them near as much as we talk about the other ones. I would agree with you. I think they're probably over, because for a while it was like, are they fake?
Right.
Are they really? Is it just, do they really have it?
Yeah.
But they've really stepped it up too since the All-Star break, over the last few weeks.
I mentioned this, I think, a week ago, and I'm going to repeat it. The team with the best run differential in all of Major League Baseball is the Milwaukee Brewers. And you wouldn't think it because they're a little bit more anonymous than the other teams. Their superstar Christian Yelich is out for the year. So you think, oh, well, they're just a reduced version of themselves. But they have been good all year long.
Adam Klug in the chat saying Pat Murphy replaced Craig Counsell. That was a big question mark, and they've been getting it done. Traded Corbin Burns.
Yes.
Big deal. They've been getting it done. I thought it was hilarious yesterday in their post-game or their champagne celebration. Jackson Churrio's only 20. He's not 21.
Yeah, he's got the Martinellis.
They gave him a stroller. They put a stroller in front of his locker filled with non-alcoholic beer. They just filled it up, and bobbleheads of him and non-alcoholic beer, and in a stroller. So that was hilarious. But yeah, you're right. This is a team that has really shown who they are in terms of being a very good team, and a team that we're not always thinking about.
Yeah, and the reason I bring it up, again, we're talking about some clinching scenarios here. The Brewers have clinched, right?
Yes, and Jackson Merrill's 21.
Yes.
Jackson Churrio's only 20. Right.
So Jackson is
Jackson
allowed to have.
can drink with the rest of them.
He can pour the Budweisers all over him.
Yes.
It'll be fine. The Brewers have 88 wins. The Dodgers have 90 wins. Now, the Padres have 87 wins.
Yeah, right there.
And that's important because in the scenarios where the Padres find their way to the NL West and find their way to the division championship, I can't help but repeat that it's great, but if you finish as the 3 seed, it's the exact same reward as finishing as the 4 seed. It's the exact same reward. You play in the first round, you get a home series, best 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. You don't get a bye. You're going to go in as the underdog in the next series. There's no other advantage to you.
The 3 team plays the 6 team.
Yeah.
Is that like your advantage? Maybe you play the worst record. But, as we all know in the playoffs, it doesn't matter.
That team's won the last 2 years.
The 6 seed was the Diamondbacks last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And the year before that, it was the Phillies.
Yeah.
So the 6 seed is actually won in the National League every year over the 3 seed. And if your reward for winning the NL West was a chance to face Chris Sale in Game 1 and Max Fried in Game 2, you actually, it'd be
not much of a reward.
You played yourself. Yeah. DJ Khaled thing. Congratulations, you played yourself. So I'm not also saying that you should. I'll say the same thing I've said for a month. Keep your head down. Win the games that you're going to win. Yeah. I've said it 1,000 times.
Take care of the White Sox. Move on to the next.
Win the games you're supposed to win. Take care of it as the team says itself. Do what the game tells you to do on an inning by inning, game by game basis, and you will wind up in the right place. You will wind up in the right place inevitably. You'll face what you need to face along the way, and the more you worry about it, it's kind of like when you're trying to drop someone off and you're late and you're worried about all the red lights, and then you hit every single red light as opposed to the green lights because you're so worried about them. I can't worry about those things. I do just note that in any scenario where the Padres and the Brewers did finish with the same record, Padres go ahead because they went 5-2 against Milwaukee this year.
It's so funny when they were having all these tiebreakers or they were winning these season series or what, I thought to myself, how relevant is that going to be at the end?
Right.
Oh, it turns out it's pretty relevant.
Pretty relevant.
I mean, winning against the Braves, winning against the Brewers, not against the Mets.
Yep.
And so you see where all of that plays a part.
Absolutely. In a different universe where the Cubs were more in it, right? We won the season. That was one of those ones early. Yeah. I remember us talking about both the Cubs and the Brewers early in the year and going, hey, we won the season series. File it away. Yeah. Maybe it's irrelevant. Maybe it's the most important thing. You don't know till the end. Right now for the Braves, they are regretting going 3-4 against San Diego.
Sure, absolutely. And for the Padres, every every time they win a game, they get themselves even more out of the scenario where they would have to worry about it.
Correct.
Who do you end up tied with? Because they just stay at the top of the pack, and at least in that the fourth spot, the first wild card spot, and can continue to contend for better from there. But yeah, it really illustrates how important those seasons, and also when are you playing them? I mean, look, they played the Braves early on, and we're able to get to the Braves then.
Right.
And when are you playing them? When are you facing them? And how much does that dictate something that is going to be very important at the end of the season?
So as we look ahead to the weekend, there are clinching scenarios for the weekend for your San Diego Padres. Again, magic number to clinch a playoff berth and just pop bottles is 5. Magic number is 8 to finish guaranteed no worse than the top wild card seed. And that means home playoff games either in the first or second round, guaranteed. So those are the 2 key numbers I'm looking for. And this weekend, like last weekend, is your chance to move easily on the board. All right? Last weekend, the Padres played a down-on-their-luck Giants team, while the Diamondbacks played Milwaukee, while the Dodgers played Atlanta, and you knew that there was a good chance to advance. And sure enough, the Padres advanced to get to the position that they are right now. Now they can take the step to all but clinch things, or potentially clinch things, because this is the weekend the Mets play their first series against Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. They've got 2 series against Philly, but this is the one that both teams are guaranteed to be all in, because the Phillies still have everything to play for. They want the top seed overall. They've got 91 wins. They haven't clinched their division yet.
I thought the Mets just played Philly for their
Friday, Phillies at Mets.
Right.
Mets just played Washington.
But before that, didn't they play 3 against? I don't know. Okay, you're right. I'm sure you're right. Yes, they can go ahead and they can do some damage.
Yeah,
The
Phillies,
Padres
Mets.
can. Yes.
Diamondbacks are in Milwaukee.
Right.
Diamondbacks are in Milwaukee. So here's that chance. Last weekend, it was Milwaukee winning 2 out of 3. There's a 4-game series. It starts tonight.
Yes.
In Milwaukee. So if that series goes 2-2 again, all right, if Milwaukee gets 2, Arizona gets 2, and the Padres take 3 from the White Sox, it'll be all but over.
Yeah.
At that point. It'll be all but over at that point. The clinch scenario would be down to 3. It would be down to 3 for home field in the wild card going into the LA-Arizona road trip, where you could have that done in LA.
Yeah. I misunderstood you. What I meant was, I thought you said this is the first time they're facing the Phillies, but they faced the Phillies last week, right? Like they faced them. The Mets.
So.
The Mets
I know
won.
they had 2 back-to-back
Phillies,
series.
Yeah, the Phillies won 2 out of 3. But
yeah, there you
and
go.
now they're going to face them for 4.
Now they're going to face them again,
which is insane. But wait, 4, right?
Yeah, 4-game series.
Okay, so
Starts
tonight too, something to look for is all the other teams play tonight.
Right.
So you're going to get out of this half
Correct.
game madness that we're in. So
Yes.
the Dodgers, the Braves, the Mets, the Diamondbacks, they all play today, and that. I don't know if that could help the Padres. Depending on, okay.
Anyone loses,
and
it
anyone
helps.
loses, it helps them. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. Today, the game in hand disappears.
Right.
For the rest of the way,
Yeah.
everyone's got the same number of games, same number of days,
Thank goodness.
same number of everything. Goodbye, half games.
Yes.
Yeah, they could clinch by Sunday, Patrick, in the chat. They absolutely could. They can clinch a playoff berth as soon as Sunday. Let's see if it happens.
AJ Caswell says Saturday.
Really? Well, okay. Back with the fix next. Thursday lunch hour. Welcome to it, everybody. It's your midday hang. It's Annie and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, with Annie Heilbrunn and Braden Soprenet. Craig Elsten here with you in our Odyssey studios, looking out over Murphy Canyon. We got 2 hours more for the show today. Then it is Gwen and Chris checking in. No Chris. Chris Ello on a cruise. Matt Scraby checking in with Tony Gwynn Jr. in studio as they will take you to Thursday night football this evening, which we will carry the radio broadcast of right here on 97.3 The Fan as the Patriots take on the Jets. So that's coming up with the pregame show, I think, at 5 and the kickoff at 5:20, but they might get off a little earlier than that. That's their problem, not ours. Here's what our problem is: to present to you in an entertaining and timely fashion, the 12 o'clock Sports Fix. Here's all the sports news that's fit to speak for Thursday, September 19th, 2024. It's your 12 o'clock Sports Fix. And as usual, we'll get things started with Annie and with the baseball story.
Let's start in Arizona, where the Diamondbacks released reliever Dylan Floro after being DFA'd over the weekend. Arizona grabbed him at the deadline, but it did not go well. He finished his Diamondback tenure with a .937 earned run average across 15 outings. The Padres do not know that life. The Dodgers announced that they have reinstated right-hander Joe Kelly from the 15-day injured list and selected the contract of left-hander Zach Logue. Righties Bobby Miller and Michael Grove were optioned in corresponding moves. Righty Tyler Glasnow was transferred to the 60-day IL to open a 40-man spot. Reds left-hander Brandon Williamson informed reporters yesterday that he has a full tear of his ulnar collateral ligament. He will require Tommy John surgery, and he will miss the remainder of the season, likely all of 2025 as well. The Brewers and the Yankees both clinched playoff spots yesterday. The Brewers have made the postseason in 6 of the past 7 seasons. The Yankees have made it every year since 2017, except for last year. And the Padres took the series from the Houston Astros with a 4-0 win yesterday and a lot of long ball to improve to 87-66. They have a day off today before starting a 3-game set against the White Sox tomorrow, and that will cap their final homestand at Petco Park.
From the news to the scores, last night's plus some games in progress with Braden Soprenet.
Got a lot of games in progress today already, some of them that will impact American and the National League wild card standings. But let's talk about last night. Padres, the 4-0 victory over the Astros. It was the A's over the Cubs 5-3. Probably put the final nail in the Cubs' coffin as they were just kind of hanging on to a playoff chance in the National League wild card. Diamondbacks bounce back against the Rockies. They win 9-4 in Colorado. Angels over the White Sox 4-3 in 13 innings. Giants have handled the Orioles the last couple of days. They beat the Orioles yesterday 5-3. We'll get an update on their score going on today. Walk-off winner for the Guardians 5-4 over the Twins. Twins are reeling right now and only sit a half game in front of the Detroit Tigers, who won last night over the Kansas City Royals. Those 3 teams are battling for wild card spots in the American League wild card race. Braves over the Reds yesterday 7-1. Dodgers double up the Marlins 8-4. Red Sox over the Rays 2-1. Brewers beat the Phillies and clinch a playoff spot over Philadelphia, although they did it anyway with Chicago losing. So they popped the champagne yesterday, as Annie mentioned earlier on the show. Mets over the Nationals 10-0. Cardinals over the Pirates 10-5. Rangers shut out the Blue Jays 2-0. And the Yankees beat the Mariners in extra innings. They are going to the postseason as well. They have clinched a playoff spot. In terms of games going on right now, the Orioles have finally taken a lead over the Giants this week as they lead 3-2 in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Orioles. In the battle of 2 black and orange squads.
You're right. It's a color thing.
Yeah, they both have the only 2 teams in baseball with the same colors.
Kind of wild.
Which I always thought it was funny
when
when Manny said, when they had the brown and gold, Manny was like, yeah, it was cool. Like when I was on the Orioles, they were the only team that were orange and black. And I was like, wait a minute. Aren't the you know what? I'm not going to ask questions. Yeah. Twins are tied with the Guardians, end of 6 at 2 apiece. That's an interesting game because the Twins, as I mentioned, are reeling right now, and they're still holding a half-game lead on the Tigers, but we'll see what happens after that game in Cleveland. Braves all over the Reds, 11-2, continuing to put pressure on the rest of the National League wild card. They're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Blue Jays have taken a 1-0 lead on the Rangers. Nobody cares. Neither of those teams are competing for a playoff spot. Yankees will continue their series in the Emerald City with a game today against the Mariners. Dodgers will finish up theirs in Miami against the Marlins. Red Sox will finish their series with the Rays. Pirates and Cardinals. Phillies will start a 4-game series with the New York Mets in New York. That's a big series for the National League wild card, as well as the Diamondbacks going to Milwaukee. Diamondbacks will take on the Brewers for 4 games this weekend as well. Nationals will play the Cubs, and the Halos will be in Houston to take on the Astros. We mentioned the National League wild card a lot just to keep people informed of the American League wild card. Baltimore is in the top spot at 84-68. They got a 4-game lead on Minnesota, which is the 3rd team, the last team in the American League wild card. The Orioles own a 3.5-game lead over, or sorry, 3.5. No, it would be a 2.5-game lead on Kansas City, who's in the 2nd spot. They have a 1.5-game lead on Minnesota. Minnesota only has a half-game lead on Detroit. Minnesota's lost 4 out of the last 10. Tigers have won 8 out of their last 10, and that's going to be an interesting finish, especially for a team that we thought was out of it. We thought we're out of it by the time they got here.
Oh,
to this place.
There's a lot of talk about the Tigers right now, isn't there? I mean, being the hottest team right now and making a surge.
Making a surge.
It's still so tight. I mean, the Phillies have 91 wins, the Dodgers 90, the Brewers 88.
Yeah.
If you're vying for those spots, the Yankees 89 wins, the Guardians 88, the Astros 82. But so I guess that's a little more parity, but it's tight. It's close.
Tigers,
I mean, all the teams still be fighting. Sorry, Braden.
Tigers half game out. Tigers half game out behind Minnesota will take on Baltimore this weekend. They got Detroit next week, and then the following weekend they finish the season with the Chicago White Sox.
Okay.
Twins will finish the season with the Baltimore Orioles. Before that, the Twins will play Miami, and over the weekend, Minnesota has... Who does Minnesota have? Minnesota has Boston. So that's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah.
Both teams play a comparable team. Both teams play a bad team, and both teams play a good team. So we'll see how that race finishes. But that's it for baseball. Here's Craig.
All right. Got a highlight and a soundbite here for you, my friend. As we begin our story with the game that if you're not literally following the wave or at CONCACAF W, you probably didn't know this game happened. Wasn't previewed in the paper yesterday. Wasn't covered in the paper today. Wasn't even mentioned in the agate.
Uh-oh.
It's like, what?
Tom Krasvick did not think it was...
Sleep at the wheel.
No, just, it didn't count for anything, did it?
It's the CONCACAF Women's Champions Cup. It's a real thing. Nonetheless.
Does it allow them to get in the playoffs or not?
Well, it could allow them to win a trophy this year. The CONCACAF Champions Cup.
So many different
That's
things.
the thing about soccer. There's a league championship, but then if you're good enough, you can play in an international tournament, which is what the Wave are in. They were good enough last year to qualify for the CONCACAF Women's Champions Cup because they won the Shield last year. They were the best team, so they got an automatic entry into this. And while they may not win the playoffs, they may not make the playoffs, they could win this and kind of really save the season in a way.
It's on the level of
sure if you
winning
won
being in the playoffs.
Yeah, because you'd not only beat the best teams in the NWSL that are in this, but you'd also beat the best teams in Mexico, South America.
Got it.
They played the team in Panama and won, right? So it would be a real feather in the cap if you won it. It's not the same as winning the league championship, but it would be really, really good. So
fair enough.
With that, on to the game. Wasn't going well. Portland scored pretty early. Sophia Smith, superstar of the national team, scored in the 25th minute when a Wave defender fell down. Then in the 46th minute, another woman sprung wide open in front of the Wave net and scored, and it was 2-0. Still 2-0 after 60 minutes. When the Wave were awarded a penalty kick, they earned it, and Maria Sanchez was given the spot That used to go to Alex Morgan. Sanchez converted the kick in the 67th minute and clawed one back. Just 2 minutes later, the comeback was completed. Looks like the computer's letting down Braden, so I'll just let you know that it was a Delphine Cascarino cross to a beautiful Maria Sanchez header on the back post.
Nice.
Got up high, headed it in. All of a sudden, 2 goals in 2 minutes, and the match was tied 2-2. And then in the 85th minute, Amira Ali drew a penalty kick. Kick was awarded. Point to the spot.
I have this one.
Got this one?
Wait, no, I don't.
Just go ahead and move on to Donovan.
Sent the wrong. Oh, there. No, I do have Donovan.
Well, yeah, we'll move on to Donovan. Because, guess what? Sanchez converted the penalty again. That's a natural hat trick. 3 straight goals in the game for Sanchez. And the Wave hang on. They beat Portland, one of the best teams in the NWSL.
Congrats.
3-2.
Good comeback.
Yes, and improved to 2-0 now in CONCACAF Women's Champions Cup Group B. They are in the same group as Portland, and they are now leading the group with a 2-0 record. Here is head coach Landon Donovan on the heart and the fight of the San Diego Wave.
Mostly everything except probably 2 or 3 moments defensively, but we were awesome tonight. It would have been really, really cruel to lose that game. We deserved to win and win by a lot probably. So I'm proud of the turnaround, the quick turnaround from Saturday. For a team that's lost a lot of games this year, to go down 2 goals and just continue to believe and keep playing and putting them under pressure was awesome. I'm just really proud of them, and we're making a lot of progress. We're growing every day, literally every day. We're growing a lot, and it's fun to watch.
Great stuff from LD.
Isn't that 2 wins in a row now?
It is in 2 separate competitions.
Right, but still.
Nonetheless,
Yes.
team is turning the
Get to
right
feel
direction.
the wins, right.
Yeah, and now Saturday it's back to NWSL action as the Wave go to Chicago to take on the Red Stars. This is a near must-win match. The Red Stars are in 7th position. The Wave are in 11th position, but whether or not they advance in the NWSL playoffs, they now are well positioned to move on in the Champions Cup. It's the final day of the WNBA regular season. The top 7 teams are locked in for playoff berths. A little squishy seeding to be resolved tonight. 3 teams are fighting for the 8th and final playoff berth. The Dream, the Mystics, and the Sky, which I believe was a Peter, Paul, and Mary song. The Dream, the Mystics, and the Sky. No?
Isn't Puff the Magic Dragon a Peter, Paul, and Mary song?
It is, indeed. And if I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'd hammer in the evening all over this land. You don't know that song? I'd hammer out danger. I'd hammer out warning.
No, I do not. Braden?
Can't say I've heard that song.
Oh, over this land. That's a famous song.
Okay. I don't know.
Coming up in the next segment.
Missed my childhood.
Coming up in the
Yes.
next segment, if I had a hammer, I'd
I've
hammer
heard
in the morning.
I've heard the Bare Naked Ladies if I had $1 million song.
It feels very appropriate that we're playing Mind the Gap today. Also, the WNBA announced yesterday that they have awarded the 15th active franchise to the city of Portland. Welcome in Portland. In 2026, Portland.
Wait, for who?
For
what?
the WNBA.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Yeah. So now they'll have NBA and WNBA
That's cool.
in Portland, along with Toronto. Both of those cities will join the league as full members in 2026. Here's something not small at all. The PGA of America announced today that LIV Golf players will be eligible to play in the Ryder Cup going forward and the PGA Championship. That is a significant thaw from what was happening a little bit earlier. The only reason LIV players were able to contribute to the PGA Championship and play in it the last couple of years was because of their previous tournament wins when they were PGA Tour members. That was going to evaporate, and guys like DeChambeau and Koepka were not going to be able to make that field. John Rahm. Now that's all changed. Now they can play. They can play in the PGA Championship and they can play in the Ryder Cup going forward. Does this mean that the PGA and Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund are getting closer to an agreement or to a merger?
No.
Well, I mean,
Maybe. Okay.
I mean, this is a good sign. It doesn't seem like they're further apart.
Okay.
Lisa,
it just seems like it's a long.
It does seem
it's
like
a
it's a long
long
way
road
away.
that they're traveling. I thought this was already done.
No, it's not even close. But they're letting a couple players in, so
A few more steps forward.
yeah, it's at least a small step forward. And NHL training camps opened across North America today. So hockey fans rejoice. go find your particular team's reporter's feed. You've got all sorts of ice swishing and
Grab your
skates
sticks.
being sharpened and guys talking about, hey, here in the room, we got really good chemistry here in the room, and we're looking to just do a good job for the organization every day. With that, back to Braden for football.
All right, got some high school, college, and NFL to report on. I will not be here tomorrow, so I'll get you the high school fix for tomorrow's games. Big games going on throughout the county. Some ranked games, especially up in San Marcos. The Discovery Bowl. That'd be the San Marcos Knights at the Mission Hills Grizzlies. It's called the Discovery Bowl. It will happen tomorrow at 7:15 p.m. Pacific time on the campus of Mission Hills.
Bless you,
Okay.
Braden.
Almost.
Okay.
Now
we
bless
go.
you.
There we go. Tickle my
Amazing.
nose right there.
Happens.
Cathedral will host Helix. That game was supposed to be at Helix, but apparently Father Mike Schmitz, who is a very popular Catholic priest that does YouTube shows,
Oh,
will
wow.
be at Cathedral. So they switched the game to Cathedral. So the Dons will host the Highlanders 2 years in a row, and then next year and the year after, Helix will host in this rivalry now that has happened since 2009. 2-2 Highlanders at the 3-1 Cathedral Catholic Dons tomorrow at 7 at Manchester Stadium. Rancho Bernardo's at Torrey Pines, a good matchup there between two North County schools. Other games going on throughout the county this weekend. Carlsbad makes the trip up to Ramona. LCC will host Fallbrook. Got a good battle out there in the Palomar, former Palomar League foes. Poway will take on Del Norte at Del Norte High School. Mission Bay's at La Jolla. And tonight we'll have two games in action in San Diego's section, most notably the one out here in San Diego County. Point Loma is at Eastlake tonight at 7 o'clock. Out in the Imperial County, it's La Quinta playing Southwest El Centro. That's a look at the most notable high school games coming up this weekend. In terms of college games tonight, there's one. There's one game that I know you guys are going to be tuned into at 4:30 as South Alabama takes on Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina.
Cannot wait.
Already on
at
my
Kid
record
Brewer
list.
Stadium.
Here we go.
On ESPN
Just
at
so I can watch it
4:30.
multiple times.
Scratch is back in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Scratch the Cougar is back in the chat.
Scratch is fired up.
Love it.
Says, rah, rah, Cougars, the Hamashaw helmet is ours.
That's right.
They taking on Valhalla this
The
weekend.
Hamashaw helmet.
Oh, wait.
Is that
I
the
don't remember
perpetual
the
trophy?
Hamashaw helmet when I went to Valhalla.
No, it must
Is that
be
a
new,
thing?
Must be a new thing.
Well, I got to say, go Valhalla on this one, Scratch. Sorry.
Go Norseman.
Go Norseman, yeah.
I mean,
I think it's not. I don't think
it's
it's
only
gonna work.
fair. It's your alma mater.
Yes.
I don't think it's going to work out for the Norsemen. I could pull out the lines of this how it's going, but I don't
doesn't
think it's
look
gonna.
good?
I don't think it's gonna work out for Valhalla.
Oh, man.
R.I.P. South Alabama plays App State tonight in college football. That's all I could really report on college. In the NFL, Detroit Lions coach Dan Campbell is selling his suburban Detroit home to get more privacy. There's plenty of space. It's on 2 acres. The home is beautiful, Campbell told Crane's Detroit Business. It's just that people figured out where I lived when we lost, and now he wants to move somewhere else. He didn't elaborate, but Fox 2 in Detroit reported that Campbell's home address was leaked to the public, and he and his family became the victim of pranks and harassment after tough Lions losses, including in the NFC Championship game. The Campbell family has filed police reports, Fox 2 reported. The Bloomfield Township Police Department released a statement saying in part that is committed to the safety of all of our residents. Harassment of any kind will not be tolerated. We hope that everyone, including fans, will respect the privacy of individuals and their families. Campbell and wife Holly listed the 7,800-square-foot house in Bloomfield Hills for $4.5 million this week. A deal is pending within 24 hours, Cranes reported. So,
I mean, these days you can't take any chances. These
No.
days, I mean, someone parked out in front of your house and or doing something weird. That's not cool.
lunatics over a team losing a football game.
Yeah.
So, yes, keep it as private as possible. That's why a lot of these athletes will buy their houses in, quote, corporation names, so you don't know where they live. Packers got some good news. 12 days after suffering a left knee injury in the season opener, Green Bay Packers quarterback and guy who trains here in San Diego, Jordan Love, returned to the practice field and left open the possibility of playing Sunday at the Titans. Love has only missed one game, Sunday's win over the Colts, when Malik Willis started at quarterback, after initial indications were that he could miss up to a month because of a sprained MCL. Love has a realistic chance to return to play next week at home against the Vikings. If he is not able to return this week against the Titans, the source told ESPN's Adam Schefter on Thursday. Good news for the Packers. They might get Jordan Love back. I doubt he plays on Sunday. But if he doesn't play on Sunday, he will probably go against the Vikings next week. So that's your latest on the NFL. And that's it for me.
And as such, for the 12 o'clock sports fix for Thursday, September 19th, 2024, we do it for you every day at 12 o'clock. We get you all of the day's sports news, and we cover all the teams, including all of our local teams. When we come back, a little bit more on the wave last night, because I want to give a coach, a player, and an organization a lot of credit based on what I saw last night. And seeing as kind of no one was there, I feel like I'm one of the few people qualified to talk about this today. So we will do that when we come back. Plus, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Mariners have found a new way to redefine their season.
The base running.
As the worst base running team.
What happened
in the history of
last
history.
2 nights, the last 2 games?
Look
I mean,
like
it's
my men's softball team.
We're going to bring you that kooky highlight next.
oh man.
Let's do it. Annie and Elsten after this quick timeout. Stay right there, friends on the Fan. Baseball. It's a lot of things. But it isn't boring. Join Rob Bradford on his podcast, Baseball Isn't Boring, where every day Rob takes you through this thought exercise. Baseball. Boring? Yes, no, and lands on no every time.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. Always winds up no.
He could
Not
go back to Jose Altuve taking off his shoe
Yes.
and just do a Baseball Isn't Boring
Exciting.
on that. On
Correct.
that game alone.
Or the Seattle Mariners base running.
Or the Seattle Mariners base running, yeah.
Every Padres game. Not boring, for sure. So follow Rob Bradford and Baseball Isn't Boring in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back. It's Annie and Elsten. We'll be playing our silly game a little bit later on. That is Mind the Gap. I bought a blue light blocker pair of glasses.
It's good stuff.
I just mentioned it, and then you're like, you should wear that because you're literally being bombarded with blue light from two screens simultaneously for
I have
4
some.
straight hours.
4 straight hours.
There you
And
go.
then more later.
Yeah,
Where's
right.
my blue light glasses?
So
I have some at home, so I'll bring mine in.
what do you think in the chat with my yellow eyes? Let me know. Nonetheless, we move on. 2 things in this segment before we get to our silly games. First, a little bit of a report from last night because I did send you guys a text around, I don't know, 6:45 or thereabouts when the game was about to kick off at 7, that there was just about nobody inside Snapdragon Stadium last night, which is extremely unusual because the team that has set all the NWSL attendance records was there, the San Diego Wave, in their home ballpark. And yet, there was kind of no one there last night. I don't know that they announced an attendance. I've been to several events at Snapdragon Stadium. The crowd reminded me of one of the group stage games at the Women's Gold Cup earlier this year between 2 teams that weren't the United States or Mexico that would have, 1,000-ish, maybe 2,000, maybe 3,000. It's such a big place, that it's really hard to crowd count.
Right. When everyone's kind of scattered about.
Yeah, fewer than 5, I will say
Okay.
confidently. I think it's fewer than 3 or maybe fewer than 2, but fewer than 5 confidently. Now, why was that? Have the Wave lost their appeal? Has the bad season dragged down attendance? No, it had nothing to do with that. It's because the Wave weren't in charge of this match. It was not a Wave match. It was played at the Wave Stadium. It was a match involving the Wave, but it was not the Wave's match. It was CONCACAF's match. CONCACAF, the famous soccer organizing body for North American national teams, that plays this Champions Cup. CONCACAF is famously a little bit disorganized, famously a little bit chaotic. I've worked for them for multiple batches now, and I would say, it holds. Everything was great last night. There were no problems. They do a good job. But from a marketing standpoint, nobody knew that the game existed last night. Mm-hmm. I know this for a fact because the MLS franchise yesterday did an event, and they didn't know they were going head-to-head against a Wave match. And they were surprised.
Wow.
I got that from the press box last night. And there weren't many people there either because it's like, what was happening? So first, I wanted to just give the Wave organization credit because it's a reminder that the garden must be tended at all times or else the plants will wither and die. So this Wave team works so hard. This front office team works so hard and they market well and they put their money where they need to get the news out, to draw 15,000, 18,000 fans to Wednesday night games regularly, not 2,000 or 3,000 fans. And then here comes CONCACAF along, same team, same situation, same stadium, and they get almost nobody. So to me, that's a reminder of the great work that the Wave front office does in a lot of ways. Beyond that, to the team itself, I want to let you all know that I am seeing changes now with Landon Donovan being the head coach of San Diego Wave.
Starting to take shape.
It really is, because I was there for 4 different San Diego Loyal seasons, and I saw the team when it played under Landon, and he's got a specific offensive style. It's a very attacking style. It's based on possession. It also involves a very heavy press up top, so when the Wave lose the ball, all their players are immediately challenging to try and steal the ball back. They're always crashing in, trying to get steals, trying to regain possession. They're not backing off. They're not playing in a defensive shell. They're not inviting the other team to come to them. They're attacking, steal. Oh, we lost the ball, steal it back. And so the result of that is you get prolonged possession. You get offensive chances. You get the chance to sometimes dominate the match. You'll also allow a counterattack down the field. And that's where the vulnerability exists, is when one of those steal, you're going in for the steal, you miss the steal, now the ball's going up the other way. Now you're running to try and get back. And basically that's how both goals that the Wave conceded happened. It happened on the counterattack. And the Thorns had their style, which is we're going to sit back and we're going to counter. And then we're going to get them with our speed in these hot spots. But the Wave didn't quit. And from 2-0 down, they rallied to win the game. And they did it by sticking with that offensive style. So I love what I'm seeing from this new offensive style. And I think Landon's coaching is starting, as we heard in the Sports Fix, they're improving day by day.
And it takes time. It really does. I mean, they've had a lot of change this season, and for him to come in and implement mid-season for a team that had already been apart for the Olympics and had lost their former head coach, and then Alex Morgan, and then some players that went to other teams as well, that takes time. So, hopefully good for him to get a little consistency going with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, specific players make coaches look smart. That's what every coach will tell you. And some players who have shown up at midseason, the French imports have been really, really good. Delphine Cascarino is
the French.
Yeah, I mean, she's a possessing forward. She can attack. She takes on players on the dribble. She's creative. She's got assists in multiple matches now. And first time starting last night was Pearl Maroney, who is a French defender, but she was playing that attack the wing. That's the thing. Landon's style is one of the four defenders presses up on the wing. And when you're in the attack, they run up and join the attack. And then they have to be fast enough to run back and join the defense if things transition. Maroney is fast. And that's a speed element that the Wave haven't had all year long. So really exciting. And all of this benefits Maria Sanchez, who winds up getting 3 goals as the focal point, which is what Alex Morgan used to be, the focal point of the offense. And it just wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. So congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're figuring some things out.
Yeah, and still some time left in the season, right? Some time to stay on the right track and hopefully finish strong. Whether that means they're playoff bound or not, at least finish strong in the way that they want to, maybe continue to improve next year.
Yeah, and what if you won the Champions Cup? Like, you could finish in 10th place and then look back and go, that was the year we won the Champions Cup, and be like, hey, okay.
Something to build on.
Silverware.
Yeah.
Getting silverware every year. That's the whole key if you're a soccer team. You want to win your league, but if you're in a Champions Cup, you want to win the cup too. So great stuff there. Lastly, before we go, we just teased this, but the Mariners figured out another way to run themselves out of a game last night.
So the night before, it was bases loaded, 3-0 count.
Right.
And who was it that
Victor Robles.
Victor Robles that tried to steal home.
With Justin Turner at the plate.
And that did not work for them.
Yeah, thrown out, and then Turner just staring at the dugout going like, what are we doing here?
So I would think that once that happens, you really tighten things up. You're like, wait a second. We know better than that.
Now, that was a bad choice.
Okay.
What we're about to present is basically bad luck.
Okay. A little different.
So this is tying runs at third for the Mariners. 10th inning. So it's the Manfred man. 1 out. No outs. No outs. Randy Arozarena at the plate.
Love it.
And the superstar is at third base, Julio Rodriguez. Now, as we're about to play the clip, and I know it takes a second, this is going to be a swinging miss by Randy Arozarena where he loses control of the bat. The bat flips toward Rodriguez in foul territory. Julio moves to avoid the bat.
Oh, no.
Not realizing that the live ball is in the catcher's hand, waiting to be thrown down to third base to nail it.
This is kind of bad luck.
This is bad luck.
Yeah.
Please enjoy.
2-2. Swing and a miss. And the ball is thrown to third, and they get J-Rod. Oh, what a happenstance. Rosarena strikes out, lets go of the bat. Rodriguez trying to get out of the way, straight too far off of third, and then the quick throw to Chisholm for the double play.
Wow, this is amazing right here. You watch this great pitch, and there goes the bat, and Rodriguez gets out of the way. But the only problem is the ball's still live.
2-2.
Now,
Swing and a miss.
So, watching the second replay, though, Annie,
From the back angle.
from the
kind of,
back
right.
angle, yes, it's very unlucky, but Julio also has zoned out because he just thinks it was a foul ball.
Yeah.
And so he had like 3 steps that he kept kind of with his head down, just like doot, 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 instead of 1 step avoid the bat, now get back to the bag. He was, yeah, he
Look
kind
how
of
far
jinked
he
it.
is.
Yeah.
He's all the way in the third base coaching box.
It's out of the base path. You should be out by that anyway. By the way, notice the pumpkin spice logo in the back.
Oh,
Oh.
pumpkin spice.
Is that what
And
Pumpkin,
got
you're
Ben
back.
going during the roundtable? He saw this highlight last night. He's like, pumpkin.
pumpkin.
You're home, it says.
one thing about the pumpkin spice here in a second, but what a demoralizing for this Seattle team that had so much promise getting into the trade deadline and really was trying to make a run for it and turn things around. That those kinds of plays are just so demoralizing, because it's like, Julio didn't mean to do that. I mean, it's just messy.
The freeze frame. Look at the freeze frame here. What
He's
is
like,
the third
"Oh,
base?
no."
The third base coach is giving it like the LeBron. Like,
What are you doing?
Right, and also, I don't want
J.R.
a bat to
Smith.
hit me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get hit by a bat flying through
went
the air.
a couple extra steps past. They could have been like miss and then get back to the base, but he obviously wasn't thinking. That looks like Brian Callahan saying, "What the blank
He
are you
is.
doing?"
Yeah, it's the third base coach.
Will Levis at third base over here. What the blank are you doing? Because the coaching staff knows they're all fired at the end of the year.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, it
They're
sucks for
gone.
them too.
Like Julio.
Come on, my guy.
Oh my.
He's like,
Lord.
"Oh, no."
He's like,
wait, hang
he
on.
tries to get it in. He tried.
Bummer.
Slid in, but no.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, it's time to play silly games. Today, it's Mind the Gap, the game of multi-generational trivia. You got to take me on head-to-head and try and get a boomer question, a millennial question, a Gen X question, and a Gen Z question. All correct before I do in order to be qualified for our end-of-the-month grand prize drawing for a trip for 2 to either Wynn or Encore Las Vegas for 2 nights and 2 tickets to see Awakening, the thrilling spectacle at Wynn Las Vegas. So if you're ready to take me on in Mind the Gap, give us a call right now. 833-288-0973 is the number. 833-288-0973. We'll screen up a contestant and come play a silly game when we return. Annie and Elsten on the Fan. All right, silly games time. It is 12:45. Hey, we're on time. What do you know? And it's time to play silly games. Today, just like every day on the show, we give you one opportunity to play one of our 4 rotating silly games and win a chance to, win the opportunity to be entered into our grand prize end of the month drawing. This month, it's a 2-night stay at Wynn or Encore Las Vegas and 2 tickets to see Awakening, a thrilling spectacle at Wynn Las Vegas with soaring aerialists and bounding acrobats and high-energy choreography and comedic moments and the forces of light and darkness and a mythic adventure.
Sounds epic.
It really does sound epic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd laugh if it was just like 3 people talking in a room. No, I think it's going to be way more than that.
There's an aerialist.
Yes.
Yes.
Aerialists, acrobats,
Yes.
high-energy choreography. But what about the comedy? It's
Cats
all
and dogs
there.
living together.
It's all there.
Mass hysteria.
In Awakening. You can get your own tickets.
You'll be awake for it.
You will. Awakening.com if you want to wake up.
No sleeping in this.
However, it's
That's
time
what
to
they
play
should
Mind
say.
the Gap. Today, you got to beat me in the game of multi-generational trivia known as Mind the Gap. And it looks like RJ in Lakeside is today's contestant. Hello, RJ. Welcome to the show.
Mind the gap. Yes, I'm ready to mind the gap.
All right, RJ. I like the enthusiasm.
Me too. Hey, before we play the game, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I love listening to your show, and I should probably not say much more than that.
Okay, let's just leave it at that. That's fine.
Well, thanks for being
my
on
boss
with
is
us.
listening, right?
Right. The less said, the better. Less said,
Such a
the
risk.
better.
I'm risking my career to do this.
Wow.
Let's go.
Okay, well, then let's
I'm
get
rooting
right
for
to
you,
it.
RJ. I'm rooting for you.
Here's how it works, RJ. It's very simple. We've got 4 trivia tranches, so to speak, set up generationally. We have Boomer, we have Generation X, we have Millennial, and we have Gen Z. You're going to get to go first, and then we're going to alternate going back and forth. And you will try to clear these categories one by one. So when it's your turn, you'll ask Braden, you'll say, I want Boomer or I want Gen X. He's going to even give you a subcategory inside that to help your chance to win. If you get the question right, boom, you've cleared the category. If you get it wrong and I haven't answered it yet, I have the chance to steal. Same thing for you. If I get it wrong and you haven't answered yet, you get the chance to steal. Last thing is you can ask Annie for help one time. You can ask Braden for help one time. Those are your lifelines. If the game is understood, I invite you to select first. Boomer, Gen X, Millennial, or Gen Z.
Let's go, Boomer.
Okay, Boomer.
RJ sounds like he built a fair game at his house to practice for this
Yes.
moment.
He seems ready. Very
He's
prepared.
going to win the prize.
He's not sacrificing
no,
work
we'll
for
see.
nothing.
He's looking at that stuffed animal going, I got this thing in the bag. Built the rope ladder in his backyard. Been practicing. All right.
Hey, don't pump up his tires too much, man.
All right, RJ, you want
Let it
TV and
pop.
film, pop culture, music, headlines, or slang?
Let's go with music.
Music. Finish the lyric. Tie a yellow ribbon blank.
Around the old oak tree.
That is
sir.
correct.
Yes, sir.
Around the
Tie a yellow ribbon
round the old
oak tree.
Oh, boy.
1-0.
It's another old time song
I don't know
tonight.
that one.
And you know what RJ does?
Yeah.
He leads the game off with a bomb to center.
That's right.
Absolutely. Straight tank
This
to
is the
center
first
field.
of Manny's
How's
home
your
runs.
neck, Craig,
Oh,
to give us
feels
that
good.
bomb? Here we go.
All right. Let me try and clear my Boomer category too then. Why not?
Any specifics?
No.
RJ came ready to play, Craig.
Yeah, he
I
did.
give
That's
you
a
an
good
opportunity
point.
here.
TV radio, why not?
TV and film. What comedian became the first black entertainer to host his own variety show on TV?
Is it Nipsey Russell?
No, it is not.
Dang it.
He can't steal since he already got Boomer. It'd be Flip Wilson,
Flip Wilson.
which is my next guess.
I should have known that.
All right, RJ, you got Gen X, Millennial, or Gen Z? What are you thinking?
Let's go with my people, Gen X.
Gen X. Do you want to stick with music or you want to mix it up?
Oh, man. See, let's fix it up.
All right, what do you got? What do you want? TV
Go
and-
with, what are the other choices? Music and what else?
TV and film, pop culture, music, headlines, and slang.
Let's go TV.
TV. The EGOT winner received the 1985 Grammy for comedy and 1990 Oscar for Best Supporting Actress in Ghost. She later won the Emmy and Tony Awards in 2002.
That's Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi
Absolutely.
Goldberg
It's gotta
Yes.
be.
is correct.
Okay, well, so
Craig, do you want to go Gen X or do you
Two
want to go
for
back to
two.
Boom?
Sure, I'll go Gen X. I've known both of your questions, but none of mine. That's good.
What was the name of Mark Wahlberg's original hip hop group?
The Funky Bunch. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Wow,
that is
yes,
correct.
That is correct.
All right,
All right,
so
I knew
it's
something at
2-1. Back to you, RJ.
Millennial or Gen Z, RJ?
All right, let's do the keto diet and let's go with millennial. Here we go.
Millennial. All right. Any particular category?
I'm gonna suck at all of these, so just pick one.
All right. In Sex in the City, who did Carrie Bradshaw end up with in the series finale?
Oh man, Doctor something or Mister something. Gosh darn it.
You have a lifeline here.
You can use Annie.
Okay, let's go Lifeline, Annie. Let's go.
In the season finale of the series, Mr. Big.
Mr.
Big.
Big
Yes.
is
Mr.
correct.
Yeah, I knew it was a Mister part. I
Yeah,
had that
you had
part
it.
down.
You had it. Don't worry.
All right, Craig.
I've known all three of RJ's
Yeah.
answers. and only one of mine.
Boomer, Millennial, or Gen Z?
Let's go back to Boomer. Let's see if we can clear it.
All right.
How about news?
News, headlines. At what South Dakota site of an infamous 1890 massacre did the American Indian movement occupy 71 days in 1973 to call attention to the government's broken treaties?
Oh,
It
shoot.
seems important.
Yeah, it really does.
I don't know it.
I might know.
So, Sioux Falls? I don't know.
Do you want a lifeline?
Sure, Braden.
That'd be Wounded Knee.
That's right. Wounded
Hey.
Knee.
Wounded
Good
Knee.
one, Boomer.
That's right. Good job.
I should have remembered that,
yeah,
but I
that's
didn't.
very important.
See, he was closer to school. He's taken that more recently than us.
Is that why, Braden?
I took enough history classes to almost qualify for a history double minor with my business minor.
All right, well, I'm still trying to chase you, RJ, but you're only one win away on Gen Z. Good luck.
Thank you.
What was meant by the phrase, what a snack?
Oh, that means good looking, hot.
Heck
Yeah,
yeah.
somebody's
God.
good looking.
Wow. You did it, man. You minded that gap. You crossed it all the way.
He made the fair game in his
RJ,
backyard.
I think he has a game at home, and he studied all the
He
cards.
studied every
Yeah.
card.
No, I'll tell you.
before
Here.
today.
Let me tell you my motivation. My motivation is in the mornings I listen to Ben and Woods, and they do the music one,
Yeah.
and people completely they crap all over it. They don't do a good job, and I'm yelling at the radio. I know. So my fear was that someone's going to be yelling at me, going, I know that. Why is this idiot on there? I didn't want to be that idiot. So
No.
thank you for your help. I'm not that idiot today.
You're an all-star.
No,
you
you
did
are
great.
100%. You're a Mind the Gap All-Star. Stay right there, RJ. I'll tell you what, you're in the hopper for this month, and I'm sure we'll have you on as a contestant next month as well because you did a great job. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We appreciate you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks,
guys.
RJ.
And we won't tell the boss that you just cheated on him.
And
right
if he
now.
goes to Vegas, he should just call in sick
Yeah.
That's right.
for a few days. Go to Vegas.
Well, that was a fun game.
Okay.
I haven't won I think that's like a 2 or 3 game losing streak for me there. That's okay.
Well,
fine.
if they answer
RJ,
everyone correctly,
Right, then I have
you
no chance.
You have no chance.
RJ
That's
was
true.
a
Which is what they
valid,
did.
a good competitor.
He was. He went
Yeah.
4 for 4. That's the way to
Yeah.
do it. Go 4 for 4, and then I'm doomed. I never get to the 4th question. So good. I want
He
to be
was
doomed.
like Dylan Cease into the 9th inning.
Yeah, right. With no Bogarts behind him to drop it.
No runs crossed, okay?
No runs crossed.
No damage.
No damage. So therefore, we're not mad. Don't
don't
do
know.
that
You-
in 2 weeks.
You seem kind of mad.
Don't do that in 2 weeks now.
Little subtle.
Do not do that 2 weeks from now.
Unnecessary Bogart stray right there.
Yeah,
just
it
like
is.
stray.
The guy just had to move back from one position to the other,
Guy's trying his best, Craig.
doing his best,
Come on, man.
exactly.
Does he get paid for what he does?
You get paid for what you do.
I do
You
too.
try
and
your
so-
best every day.
Right. I try my best every day.
No?
I know he's trying his best
Yes.
every day.
Trying his best.
Even Manny will bobble one every so often.
Yeah, 2 in
True.
the same inning. Well,
Got the dub. That's all that
got the
matters.
dub,
Now,
and guess what?
Style points don't matter anymore.
No. And
Talking about
today,
wins.
the game in hand is being played all the way across the nation. The Dodgers will play their game in hand. The Diamondbacks, the Braves, unfortunately, have,
Braves beating the Reds 12-3.
that's
Yeah, it's a wrap.
Dunzo.
Yeah.
It is the Great American Bandbox.
Okay, bottom of the 8th, so there is still a shot, right?
Yeah, never know.
There is still a
We
shot.
can be optimistic about this.
That 3% chance that we've been clinging to. in
Atlanta
everything.
went and got some Skyline chili in the 7th inning, and now it's fighting back.
O's just walked off the Giants, too. We're back to reset the show right after this. Annie and Elsten, 97.3 The Fan. Back for the final hour of our midday get-together for this Thursday. It's Andy and Elsten here with you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Welcome back to the show. Andy Heilbrunn, Craig Elsten, Braden Sobrenet. We're all together in our Odyssey studios. Work until 2 o'clock. Gwyn and Chris, that's the name of the show that checks in after us. Today it'll be Scrabes and Gwyn. And by the way, today in studio in the first hour, coming up in the second segment of the first hour, 2:20, the one and only Steven Strasburg will be here. Yeah, that's sick.
In studio
West
talking
Hills.
to Tony and Scraby. That's awesome.
What a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Chris is going to be jealous.
I'm going to be listening.
Chris and I were covering Strasburg's big year. We were the play-by-play announcers for his junior year.
That's right.
On campus at SDSU.
That must have been fun.
How many times does Scraby play the Chris Ello highlight of his no-hitter?
Minimum once.
At least once.
Minimum once.
Strasburg stares in. Whatever.
I told you that story about how I was
Yes.
listening to that on my phone in the
Yes.
car driving back from Palm
Oh,
Springs.
Yeah, that's right. Strasburg's ready to go. I don't know. It sounds like
He's got that Vince Scully cadence.
yeah, but it's like the audio levels, which I get.
The 2-2 pitch.
like,
Swung
what is this,
on
from
and missed strike
1920?
3.
Strasburg ready to go.
He
That's
did
gonna
a
be
good
cool.
job. He did a good job. So
It's
yes,
very cool.
Stay tuned. Strass live in studio.
And with Tony, I mean, I'm not undermining Scraby. Scraby's amazing. But two baseball minds kind of
Yes.
talking back and forth there that have played the game.
Two
I'm sure
baseball
Scraby
minds.
plays the game too. but
And
yes.
Scraby.
No, he doesn't. He says in his promo that he
Right.
doesn't play.
I thought he played like, does he play like softball or whatever?
No,
Or-
no.
He
okay,
played
well, whatever.
softball with us for a while, then
He can
his
bring the
rotator
fan
cuff.
perspective, which is also very important.
It is very important.
Yes.
Look at things differently.
Yes, exactly. Otherwise, the two of them might get too technical,
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, gotta bring
yeah.
it back down
Too
to
far
earth,
in
you
the
know?
weeds.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, well, hitting reset on the show here today. Listen, we came off a great roundtable. If you missed it, you can find it on YouTube on the 97.3 The Fan page. Normally, I'd be promoting a re-air, but we're going toward Thursday Night Football tonight. We got the Pats and the Jets later this evening live on our airwaves with the Padres off today. So it's really a chance to look back at a great series. You know, we talked about it. Houston, the last good team in baseball that the Padres hadn't played.
I thought you were about to say the last honest pizza.
The last honest pizza roundtable. And
Threw you off, didn't I?
yes, you did. You did very
That's
well.
literally what I was thinking. The last, and I'm like, honest,
Honest
pizza.
pizza.
I've heard that way too many times today.
Yes. Well, there's a quota in how many times it has to be
Yes.
in there. I don't know if Ben's a professional, so I'm sure he does get them in.
Are you questioning whether or not you got
well,
them in?
all I know is I had to make sure I got them all in, and it's
Did you
it's
get
quite
them
a few.
all in?
I did because
She
I
got
kept a
them all in.
tally,
She's
Right.
got a little.
and there's a lot.
There are a lot.
Yes.
Ben's just over there freelancing.
Yeah. Right. Ben.
Just flowing.
But he's
Steven
got,
Strasburg.
he does every week.
last
He can do that.
honest pitcher. Looks in. Ready to go.
I want to hear it now.
It's in here somewhere. I don't.
You gotta find it.
This was a series
Yes.
that the Padres could have honestly swept, and it didn't matter that they didn't because they played 3 excellent games. But they were still in it on that Tuesday game when the Astros won in extra innings. And what a great, intense preview of the playoffs. And listen, Manny Machado said after the game, "This is a preview of the World Series. We're going to see them again. We will meet them again." Well, there's only one way to meet them again, and that is in the World Series. And he was very cognizant of that. So 2 good teams going at it, and that phrase of what is it, iron sharpens iron or whatnot.
Yeah.
You kind of felt that with this one.
Well, I agree. I mean, I think the Padres all year have come to play against the better teams that they face, and they rise to the occasion. And this Final Form version of the Padres, post-deadline, post-Tatis injury, post-Musgrove, post-Darvish, everybody back, this team matches up with all of these teams. I mean, really, we've seen every team in baseball now except the White Sox. And, here they come on Friday. But we've seen every team in baseball. Padres lost the season series to the Mets. They lost the season series to the Phillies, and they lost the first 5 games to the Phillies. But that was early in the year. It was before Final Form. The Mets, half of that, the sweep in New York, that was before this team had reached its Final Form. now I look at every team that we've played, and I stack them up. I look at the lineups, I look at the defense, I look at the rotation, I look at the bullpen, and I say, the Padres are as sound a team. You can pick a nit here and there, whichever player is slumping, whichever reliever is slumping, whichever starter is slumping. But you can look at this team and say, fundamentally, they're as well put together and as ready to roll into an October situation as any team in baseball.
And that's so intentional that they've put that together and wanted to play that kind of baseball going into September and then going into what they hoped was October, because they've been laying the groundwork for that really all season long, but especially coming out of the All-Star break, wanting to have that vibe, wanting to have that flip switched so that they didn't have to flip it when they got to the playoffs. And you really sense that with all the decisions that they're making even now during the game. It feels like they are approaching things as if, hey, if this was the playoffs and this was an actual playoff game, this is how we would be coming out of it. And they took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. And Manny said after the game, too, we've been playing playoff baseball for the last month.
Yeah.
This is just going to be an extension of what they've been doing. There's no real change in how they've been. And I think that's kind of good. I think you can look at it a number of different ways. But if you were a team that had locked it up by September 5th, and you could kind of rest a little and you knew no one was going to catch you really, sometimes you can get a little complacent. But they are earning their way into the postseason. And that goes for any other team that makes it right now, too, because it's so tight. But it's a good feeling when you're able to get those wins and play the kind of baseball you want to play and then have that lead right into October.
I know on the last roundtable, Woodsy was like, I just wish that we could take these 3 weeks and just disappear and pop up for game one.
Ella did that.
And then Ella was like, good idea. See ya. I'm on a cruise for 2 weeks. I think you... There he is.
There he
Wait,
is.
is that Scraby?
No, that's Chris.
Oh, okay. What is going on?
They recorded this off of my phone in the car.
Wait, I'm going to hear it
apparently.
again.
You want to hear it again?
There we
All
go.
right, hang on a second. I got to
Cue it up.
reapply it here so I don't go into a commercial break immediately right after, which would be a problem. But
Computers.
He sounds like an old-timey,
that's
like,
what I'm saying. The audio
does.
sounds,
like Vince Scully-ish.
It's the
Yeah.
old school online
Strasburg
streaming.
ready to go, and milk was 10 cents at the grocery store this morning.
Strasburg ready to go.
I bought the eggs from the farmer.
Remember, guys,
1-2 pitch.
Farmer John presents this 2-2 pitch.
Pepperidge Farms remembers. Remember, gang, the train leaves at 10 p.m. sharp.
Wait, so he did the play-by-play, and you did the color, or how did this work?
We alternated.
Okay,
yeah.
you alternated innings.
Yeah, we would go. He would do
Yeah.
1-2. I would do 3-4.
Sure.
He'd do 5-6. I'd do
Okay.
7-8. He'd do 9.
Yeah, seems like a good season to be doing that
It was a
when
great
it's
season,
Strasburg.
yeah. It was incredible. The
Strasburg,
1 year I
ready to go.
traveled
Ready
with
to go.
Yeah. The 1 year of my life I traveled all the time with the college baseball team was
Mm-hmm.
Steven Strasburg's junior year. It was good.
Fun.
It was a
fun,
good,
yeah.
they didn't win every game, but it was
Right.
still, it was good. And that's what Padres fans need to remember too. Like, people getting on Toddy yesterday because he punched out against Framber Valdez 3 times. Well, Framber Valdez is excellent.
Yes.
And he's
He
sometimes.
wasn't the only one
Right.
punching out against Framber Valdez.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes great pitchers are going to dial you up.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it's going to go. And that's why the team was shut out as a team until the 6th inning yesterday.
Yesterday was like a less intense, like less crazy moments, but it was a pitcher's duel. It was a good, well-played pitching game until, of course, poor Caleb. Well, I mean, not poor to the Padres, but Caleb had a bad night. Caleb Ort. That's his name, right?
Yeah,
Caleb
rough ball
Ort.
game,
yeah,
buddy.
rough ball game for Caleb. But, it kind of shows, too, that the Padres can win in a variety of ways. I mean, how many times, have we seen them play small ball, which they're very good at, or get the single or the double to push a guy in? Well, they just did it with the long ball yesterday. 4 home runs, 2 of them from Manny Machado.
That's what you say. Thanks for shagging.
Yeah, 3
Comment.
back to back to back.
Thanks for playing. Get your snow
for
cone on the
BP.
way out. Yeah.
And so 4 homers and Dylan Cease
Oh, man.
pitching lights out.
Dylan Cease gave the bullpen, all except Tanner Scott, 2 nights off, 2 days off in a row.
Yes.
Single-handedly, he did that. And he wasn't even, look, he was at, 70 pitches through 6 or something? I mean, again, the Astros were very aggressive with him, and to their detriment, they were getting outs on 2 pitches a lot of times, 1 or 2 pitches. But if that's going to be your approach and Cease is just going to mow through you, oh well, that was exactly what Dylan Cease was hoping. And so he was able to use that efficiency for the good of the team and really help the bullpen out. And honestly, he looked great. I mean, Dylan Cease looked great.
I mean, if you really go through it, what impact did Altuve have other than his toe? What impact did Altuve have on the series, right? Not a lot. Probably he won a game for them by getting thrown out.
Yeah.
Because a better defender came in at second base.
That might have gone through if it was still him.
It very well could have.
Right.
Kyle Tucker got a good hit in the extra inning game. Didn't play yesterday. What did Jordan Alvarez do? Jordan Alvarez is one of the best players in baseball, one of the most dangerous hitters.
And that we rightfully spoke up, like we talked him up going into the series because of what he has done this season. I mean, he's been incredible.
Yeah.
I don't think he did a whole.
He got an RBI hit off Scott on Monday.
And that was it.
That's pretty much it. Like, I think he reached base a couple times, but no bombs. Jordan Alvarez is that guy. He's that guy. He's the guy who hits 3 homers against you. He's the light tower power guy. How about Bregman? Bregman made a couple of nice plays, hit a foul home run the other day, but that's about it. So my point is not to disparage any of these. It's to say these are great players with championship pedigree. You know, Alvarez hit the homer that turned around the World Series against the Phillies and won the World Series for them.
And that were they were still fighting. I mean, the Astros are still fighting for something. They were both playing. I felt like both teams were very much playing to win.
100%. So that was a playoff preview type series.
And how, that can kind of give you a good feeling, right? A good sense of confidence when you're able to get out a great lineup like that, or you're able to make plays against great pitching like that. Not going to happen every time, but you're definitely able to capitalize and a good feeling going into October.
That's the thing. The Padres are nothing but good feelings right now. And
good vibes.
So the reason I brought up that whole thing with Woodsy the other day is today that's how I feel now. Because I feel like the drama of this season is waiting for us in 2 Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I think that before, the drama was expected to be the last 2 weeks of the season, right? The last week of the season. Oh, my God, we're going to L.A., we're going to Arizona, we're going to be on pins and needles, our stomach's going to be in knots because we're going to be in game 160, and if we lose 2 out of 3, we're out of the playoffs. But if we win 2 out of 3, we sneak into the playoffs. That's what we thought it was going to be for months. Now the Padres' magic number is 5. Their magic number to clinch home field in the first round is 8. They can clinch a playoff berth as early as Sunday. The Braves won today. They could clinch home field as early as the Dodgers series next week. And they could go to Arizona where the Diamondbacks are fighting for their playoff lives. And the Padres are kind of like, do we want to push you over the edge of the bridge? Do we want to start Perez and Waldron and call up Logan Gillespie and, kind of treat it like a spring training series because we might play you the next week and we just kind of want to hold everything back like an NFL coach? These are choices that Mike Schilt didn't think he was going to be able to have. His team has played so well, he's putting himself in that position for next week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's going to be a big week next week with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks, but it also kind of depending on what the Diamondbacks do, too. I mean, they're facing, was it the Brewers? Braden, someone? They're
Diamondbacks
facing
and the Brewers
Milwaukee.
today.
I mean, that's 4, I think 4 against them.
Yes.
That's going to be, I think, a pretty hard-fought series. And, what's going to happen in terms of by the time these teams finally meet and what's going to be left in the tank and what are you going to have to reserve for if the Padres are in the wild card 2 days from that, one day break, and then you jump right into the wild card. So a lot of I think excitement still, but in terms of them controlling what they needed to control, they certainly have.
They've gotten the job done. They're playing for one another. A.J. Preller's vision of what this team could be is being realized. We're seeing it. We're seeing the vision come to life. Mike Schilt's cultural decisions that he made all the way back to February, that's taken root. This garden is blossomed, and watching, and I'll say it again, watching Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. jumping over the rail of their dugout, not to go charge the pitcher, not to go yell at an umpire, to dance and hug and celebrate their teammate, Donovan Solano, hitting a home run. That tells me everything I need to know. And listen, Bryce Harper, he celebrates too, Jordan Al. But go find me the clip of Jordan Alvarez and Alex Bregman jumping over the rail to dance because Jake Myers hit a homer. Like, this team's got a special togetherness that I get it. I get it from the outside. I get it, New York writer who's a friend of mine that I know, like, from the outside. Oh, togetherness, chemistry, blah, blah, blah. Show me the numbers, right? Like, but we're close enough, but I think we're not too close to see this. This is real. This is a real thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that they're all feeling it and they're all enjoying what's happening right now. Obviously, winning is fun, but it's a clubhouse that really, truly does like each other and roots for one another and has kind of bonded together over playing that kind of unselfish baseball. And have fun. I mean, like, look, when you've got contributions throughout that clubhouse, which is what this kind of baseball takes, you get to root for not just the big name players, not just the big contract players, but everyone in every nook and cranny of that clubhouse, really, because they're all contributing or they're all having an impact. So it just kind of helps, I think, with morale too, going forward and knowing that everyone's got each other's backs. And not every clubhouse is like this, and not every year is like this, and it might not even be a bad year. But it also just maybe isn't as close as it is this year. They're definitely close this year, and they're definitely enjoying playing with one another.
When we come back, we're going to hit a couple of different things, including the world's most prominent helicopter dad, Deion Sanders, working from the podium again. We'll have a little bit of that for you. I've got a crazy old-timey story that I randomly told Braden that I figure I might as well tell on the air too.
Okay.
The dude who came up with a table leg.
That's right.
The guy who actually came up to a big league plate with a table leg. That's a real story. I'll tell that to you when we come back. But first, as we go to break, we have a $50 gift card to participating restaurants for San Diego Restaurant Week, which is next week, September 22nd to 29th. Get more info at sandiegorestaurantweek.com. But let's do a quick trivia giveaway here, 833-288-0973. Yesterday, one Padre got his first major league hit. Who is the Padre who got his first major league hit yesterday? Give us a call and let us know. 833-288-0973. First correct answer gets a $50 gift card to San Diego Restaurant
Isn't
Week.
that always a nice moment?
It is.
It is.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So, who is it? Let us know, and we'll come back with more Annie and Elsten after this quick break on The Fan. The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed on 97.3 The Fan. So while you are listening to 97.3 The Fan, you can see what you missed and click to listen on demand. If you missed a guest, a feature, or something crazy that happened from earlier, we got you covered. Download the free Odyssey app, search 97.3 The Fan, and tap earlier today to get started. We do have a winner. Who was the winner?
It was Chris.
Chris is the winner. He knew Brandon Lockridge.
Chris on a cruise.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
different Chris. Different Chris. That Brandon Lockridge got his first big league hit yesterday. It was a bunt hit. It was immediately followed by another bunt from Jurickson Profar that moved the runners from first and second to second and third. That was
But they didn't score.
Yeah, that was brought up by Ben and Woods. If you missed the roundtable today, I would recommend going back for the exchange between
A spicy bunt conversation.
Ben and Woods and Tony Gwynn Jr. getting into it a little bit. I mean, not in a bad way. Don't worry.
It was fun. It was good to hear the different sides.
Absolutely. As somebody who's understood the math, the anti-bunt math for decades, had absolutely no problem with that bunt. Not even one little bit.
I didn't either.
Because Framber Valdez is the league's #1 ground ball merchant. He is 60% grounders. That's what he does. So for the #1 double play team in the league to be up with first and second, no speed on the base paths, nobody out. Well, speed in Lockridge, but he was blocked by the runner in front of him. And to bunt those guys over, I'm fine with that. Valdez is a beast.
I think Jurickson understood the assignment on that one. I think he knew that exactly that thing. Like, I think that was kind of also respecting Framber. Not that you don't compete and you don't, obviously try to get the run across. And I understand what Woods is saying in terms of how you're going to need every run you can score in the postseason. But in that situation, I think that he used his baseball IQ and his years of experience and said, this is going to be my best shot.
And listen, I am Profar. If I'm going to bunt, it's because it's the right thing to do. That's what he said. And I thought actually it was probably the right thing to do. Now, sure, could he have hit a 3-run homer off Framber Valdez? Absolutely. Also, he could have rolled into a 5-4-3. Yeah. Just like that. And then we're going, why didn't you bunt, dude? We're down to 2 outs with Tatis up. Instead, we could have had Tatis up and, Profar was leading off, and Manny. We could have Tatis and Manny coming up, back to back. So, hey, it is what it is. Next, potpourri segment. Next, always love when Braden finds these things and sends them to us. He sent this one to us the other day.
College football's a wild place.
College football is insane.
It's insane.
And
always giving you content.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's the gift that just keeps on giving. It's in more ways than one.
Correct. And one of the entertaining aspects of college football this year is the Colorado Buffaloes football program, which
he's wearing his hoodie, his hat, his glasses.
He's got his sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Really let his beard go.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is letting it go a little bit. He looks like he could, I don't know what I want to say. He looks like he could be at the 7-Eleven. He looks like he could be going to pick up his laundry or kind of anything. Yeah, gray hoodie pulled up too.
He looks like what he probably looks like on Sunday mornings after a game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like he had to come up to the office for something.
Rolling into film Sunday morning.
So that's how he looks. Well, that's how he's looking at this press conference. When, once again, in what has been a recurring theme this year for Deion Sanders, for him to scold from the podium and to tell reporters how to behave. And in this case, it is to belittle reporters by saying that they are jealous of the money that is being made by the college football athlete in today's game. Let's hear it from Deion himself.
When I say I genuinely love these kids, I genuinely really do. It's not about what they can do for me on the football field. It's about what I can help them with in life. Landscape has changed in football. Once upon a time, you guys never attacked college players. Now they're making more money than y'all. And some of y'all are envious and jealous about that. So you're on the attack. It was hands off for college player because he's an amateur. Remember that, guys? Now it's hands on. Go at them any kind of way you want. They're making more money than me, and I'm mad about it. when you attack them, these guys are sensitive. They've never been attacked. They hadn't gone through what a grown man, what I've been going through with y'all for years. They haven't done that. So it is what it is. I know you're going to do your job and what you must do, but your job does not say attack. The personal stuff, leave it to be personal, because if we start flipping the script on y'all, you wouldn't like it. I can easy. Thank you, Lord, for stopping me there. Ooh, that was almost a good one. That would have went viral.
I don't know what he's referring to. What kind of attack? I can kind of understand his point that, you know, you're supposed to, like we say it on the show sometimes too, like, hey, these are college kids. They're doing their best. They're trying their hardest. They're, you know, learning how to be student athletes, whatever. But I'm not sure. I don't know what it was in reference to. If someone like said a low blow,
I'm sure they're being
or
more critical about the athletes because they're making more money. What Deion is missing on this is it's not because they're making more money than the reporters. What's happening is they're paid professionals now. And so you can't use the excuse anymore of they're just kids. They're not just kids anymore. They're being made hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you want hundreds of thousands of dollars and you don't perform for your hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're going to get, in most entities, fired. But in this sense, you will be criticized. I mean, to me, and I don't like yelling at college kids, but I'm going to take TCU, for example. It's like before I'd be like, you know what? This guy's trying his best to be a student athlete. But now it's like, you know, one of their corners over the weekend got torched by UCF. That guy's making over $100,000. Like, I don't feel bad for the kid anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the same. It's not like that guy is just trying to go to school for an education and he's working his ass off and, you know, he has to go through all this stuff and he's not getting rewarded for it. He's trying his best. But when they start making money, I think it changes.
Also, is anything he's saying actually true? Because
that's a big accusation against the media members, saying that they're just bitter that the athletes are making money, which is probably not even close to being
so let's be clear about one thing. Do players in college football receive criticism? They've always received criticism.
you can definitely receive
Always.
fair criticism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think that the boosters who were putting a bunch of money down in 1979 weren't criticizing the players at that time? Of course they were. And the attacks from somebody who, for example, lost a $50 parlay because you didn't catch the pass and now is sending you a Venmo request, like those things are new in the new world of college football. Fine. Fair game. Discuss it. Rip it. Get upset about it. I understand it as a coach, as a parent. I understand all of that. To attack the journalists who are covering his team and say that they are jealous, or to even throw the blanket, y'all, you know, all college football journalists are jealous and that they are envious. I believe he used the word envious of the players because of the money that they are making is wrong. And I would love to see the evidence of that. And I would love to see the receipts and the links and the actual rips, the actual attacks, because the only person I've really seen getting attacked around the Colorado football program by journalists is Deion Sanders.
Especially by journalists. Like, social media will have their own thing about, like, players complaining about, you know, like when Shedeur calls out his O-line, he'll get some flack on social media, but it's not the, 5 or 6 writers and columnists that are sitting there in those interviews doing that. They're attacking Deion more sense than not, who is a paid professional.
Well, I just dropped a link in this segment in our rundown. As opposed to us, how about somebody who is synonymous with college football journalism? Paul Feinbaum. Paul Feinbaum, who's covered more college football than I'll ever know in my life, because he responded pretty directly to this yesterday on ESPN in regards specifically to Deion Sanders' comments that we just played for you on the air. This is Paul Feinbaum's response as it loads up on the Odyssey mouse wheel. Here it is.
Deion right there was purely gaslighting and it really unbecoming of somebody of his stature in status. He knows that's not true. The people that cover college football have been arguing vociferously for years to get more autonomy for players so they can make more money, so they can't be treated the same way that they always have. And for him to say that is just really specious. It's baseless, and quite frankly, it looks to me like he is living in an alternative universe, because that is simply not true. And to use the word slander, I mean, that is so far beyond the pale, because most people, the majority of the media, lifts these players up. They don't tear them down. Quite frankly, the only player on his team that has even come under scrutiny is his son, Deion Sanders. And right here on this program 24 hours ago, the entire panel, Stephen A., myself, and Shannon, defended him for not shaking hands with a player who was trash-talking him. So I frankly don't have any earthly idea where he came up with it. I think it's desperation, and it's entirely spineless of him to attack the media, who has not even attacked his players.
I cannot get over Chris Mad Dog. That was Chris Mad Dog Russo,
Yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah.
And the look on his face, like this the whole time from the.
When on his fill-in on Wednesdays.
He has the same look on his face the entire time of like,
And his
brow
shoulders are
is
pulled
furrowed,
forward, like
he's
all
about to smoke
rumply.
a cigar, kind of. But
He must have been watching the Giants. Orioles game.
Could you imagine if every time you were talking, I was just over here?
Mean mugging it.
but he doesn't change expression. It just stays the same the whole time. Look, Paul Feinbaum make some good points there.
He does, and
Yeah.
he
It
usually
hurts my
doesn't.
face to try and do that for a
It would give a woman, wrinkles. We wouldn't want to do that.
But the thing is that we're going down a very interesting road, and here's my thing on this. It's like you can't claim all the pros of amateurism and ignore all the cons of being a pro.
bingo.
And that's where, like, this is the territory that you go into. I mean, you wanted to get paid and you wanted to get all this stuff. That's fine, but with that comes consequences. Not necessarily consequences, but other things you have to deal with. It's the same thing with every profession. There's a reason why you get paid the money you get paid. You have to deal with a lot of problems with, being in that limelight. I mean, that goes for any professional athlete too. Like, and it's not just criticism. It's like you got to deal with signing autographs. You got to deal with like being famous. You got to these are all of the things that are such a nuisance to your life. But at the same time, it comes to the territory of what you signed up for to get the money that you're getting paid. Every job's got that. And to me, it's like you can't complain that some people, you know what, if you get the people that are like worried about their bets, get out of here. Like, that's a different story.
Or that are telling them they want to die or
when
whatever.
you got like fan bases now that have to pay a talent fee for you to play and you don't play well, they have a right to be upset now. And it's not you can't pull they're just kids card anymore when they're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars, because guess what? They're not kids anymore. They're in almost the top 1% of earners in the United States. They're not kids anymore.
But isn't this like the culture that's been created for them? Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Aren't they just kind of playing the game of the system that's now been created to set this up?
You don't have to play, though. They're not. I mean, you're not being forced to play against your will. You don't have to do this.
Also, you don't have to accept. Well, let me put it this way: you could go play for a Division II school.
Go play at USD.
Right. You could go play for USD without a scholarship and continue the exact life that was led before of the student athlete that we're not going to. There's never going to be any.
It's going to be extinct.
But when you are transferring from school to school to school to school
to
four
follow
times,
the bag.
Thank you. 4 times in 4 years to get a higher salary everywhere you go. Well, I believe the concept of amateurism has officially left the building here.
But they're allowed to do that. That's within the legal bounds, and a kid might want to make as much as he possibly can before.
And the people that pay that money have a right to criticize them, and
Bingo.
they can't sit there and go like they're just kids anymore. You can't have it both ways. It's the same thing like Josh Hader. Josh Hader can go out there and try to get a good contract, but Josh Hader also can't expect that a bunch of people in San Diego are going to cheer for him anymore.
Joe Musgrove had some good comments on him.
Yeah, he did.
But that's the reality of the situation, though. You can't.
Sanders story.
You can't have it both ways.
I think, listen, like you said, fair criticism always has been part of the deal. And honestly, you can go into personal stuff when it affects the team, right? When there's a personal issue that affects the team, or there's something happening off the field that results in a suspension or things like that. Sometimes coaches don't want you touching that, and it's like, no, how do you not touch that? That's part of the culture or whatever's been created, or how it affects the team on the field. But I don't know. Were there like these vicious attacks on the players? I doubt it.
No,
right? But
no, there wasn't.
of course you don't want to make like low blows on them.
But the thing is the whole argument of like they're just kids. It's gone now.
Yeah,
They're not just kids anymore.
That's
right?
it. That's
and
it.
that's the thing. And like I'm not saying like you should like there's no personal attacks, but when fan bases, because who's fitting the bill?
Blue Meanie said, is that the same as a fan telling a player, "I pay your salary," and criticizes them? Like, is that?
But the fans don't pay their salary in the professional sports. To an extent, they do. But in college right now, the fans are paying their salaries. It's not the schools. It's the boosters. It's the people paying for tickets on the surcharges. Who's paying the bills right now in college athletics? Is it the school or is it the boosters?
Yeah, the hypocrisy of this is just right there on the face, because this boils down to give me all the power, prestige, and money and none of the responsibility.
Right.
And this is a very common 21st century American thing. Like, hey, I want all the power, but don't you dare try to hold me accountable for what I do, because that's on you if you're trying to hold me accountable. Now, give me all the power, give me all the responsibility, but when I mess it up, you better not tell me that I messed up, because that is the responsibility I'm willing to abdicate here. And that's all I from Sanders. And when he's talking about personal stuff, it's covering his son, again, blowing off the guy for the handshake, or asking the band to play his own song instead of the fight song when he scores a touchdown. Like, these are actual things that are happening.
Yeah.
And that is another example of just, again, being a hypocrite.
The pros of being an amateur where, you got the benefit of the doubt because you're a kid. You got to go wherever you wanted to go. There was no signing of contracts or anything like that. And so they want all of those pros with all of the perks of being a paid professional athlete. And right now, college athletes have it better than everybody else, where I can say where I go. I can say where I play. I'm on a 1-year contract every year. I can go wherever I want.
That's right.
I don't have to worry about getting cut. I don't have to worry about getting traded. Everything is in their power, and then now they're upset that they're getting a little criticized. And again, these are all baseless claims, but for me, like, just sitting here going, it's like you can't have all the pros in life. I mean, there's cons that come with all the decisions that you make for every walk of life. And right now, college athletes think they get all the pros of being an amateur and all the pros of being a pro, and they're saying it's not fair that they're mad at me that I'm not playing well. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
How many of his players, I'm just looking this up, according to Google, as of April of 2024, 53 scholarship players transferred out of the Colorado football program. We know some of those Deion Sanders ushered out of the Colorado football program. So when that clip starts with, "When I tell you I love these kids, I'll do anything."
He was cutting guys before spring ball, and the compliance office was so backed up with trying to process all these kids to get out of there, because they had to remind Deion, look, this is a school. They're still enrolled here till the end of the semester. What do you want us to do with all these kids?
Like, I don't care. Get rid
And
of
he
them.
was basically cutting them like it was the NFL. Like, here, so-and-so will take care of your travel back home. It's like, what do you want me to do? I got 4 classes I got to finish before the end of the semester, and then I got to go find somewhere else to play. I know kids that got cut from this program. It's very hilarious, his statements that he makes compared to the actions that he does.
We got to take a break.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there time to quickly address the Musgrove hater
Let's do it
story?
right when we come back.
Okay, when we come back.
Yeah, when we come back, let's
quickly.
talk about it, because I thought it was great.
It was a good story. Yeah.
We'll hit that, and we'll open up the lines. If you want to call us for Ask Us Anything, 833-288-0973 is the number. You got 8 minutes to call the show, and if you do, we'll put you on after we chat a little Musgrove hater right after this. Annie and Elsten on 97.3 The Fan.
Wow.
It did it. It happened finally. Yes.
We didn't get the Ask Us Anything one, but
We got sorry it's over and it's the last segment. It
Let's go.
actually happened. Yeah.
what a great way to end the week.
Woo. Do we still have to do the last 5 minutes?
I think we
Great
just let
song.
Man Overboard play for the rest of the time. But yes,
Oh, okay, we do.
Sorry.
Okay. Fair enough.
that's boss's orders.
That's fine. Don't forget, Steven Strasburg in studio next hour with Tony Gwynn Jr. and Matt Scraby. Also Thursday night football coming up.
It's already Sunday. Why are we working on a Sunday?
Was
this the Braden Soprenet show?
That's
and
what I
didn't
was
know?
wondering. That's why I wanted to leave.
No Braden Soprenet show Sunday, by the way.
Patriots Jets. I promise I'm not going to watch this game tonight.
Patriots, Jets.
I absolutely promise.
I honestly don't watch any Thursday night games because it's on streaming and I have to it's just a couple extra steps that I don't want to do, even though I have Amazon Prime.
But you also can't flip out of it easily because then you got to flip out of the app. And
if the Padres are playing or scoreboard watching, it's like I have to log out of Amazon and then I got to jump into another thing and
log back in.
I'd rather not do that for Patriots and Jets. It's not worth my time.
Yeah, I mean, I might listen to a little bit on the way home because I'm going up to Front Wave Arena for a ribbon cutting ceremony in a couple hours.
Annie,
that'd be cool.
instead of flipping back and forth, you can listen to 97.3 The Fan in the
That's
background
right.
and then watch baseball. So now you
That's
get the
right.
best of both. Are you tired of flipping back and logging out? Well, I got something for you. It's called the Odyssey app. Don't have to worry about it.
Let's go.
And you can listen to like Kevin Harlan more times than not.
Yes.
Real quick, let's touch through this because I agree with you, Annie. I thought, we talked a lot about hate. We've talked a lot about Hater
We've
a
talked
million
so
times.
much about Hater now that it's like this will be the end for a while.
Well, he's gone.
Yeah,
now.
I think
Don't worry
so.
about it.
Yeah. But
he kind of opened it up. Look, when Josh Hader said, it's great to live rent free and whatever, he kind of opened it up for a comment back from the Padres clubhouse. And Jeff Sanders of the Union Tribune, you can read that on the website or pick up the paper today. Went to Joe Musgrove, who was Hader's teammate and, a San Diegan, someone who has been in the rotation for a long time, had some thoughtful comments. And essentially, you should go read the whole story because there's quite a few comments. But I'll paraphrase by saying, Joe said, look, we all understood. We all respected what he was doing. We all understood that he got burned by arbitration. But yes, there were times where we were hoping, especially at the end of 2023, that he could give us a little more. At the same time, he said Josh Hader was a great teammate. He was good in the clubhouse. He took care of the guys around him. So it was nothing like that. But he said, look, let me get to the bottom quote here. He said, I think when it came down to it, we hoped he would give us a little more in situations when we needed him to be there.
Right. And he said something similar.
Fair.
Yeah, at the top of the order.
Yeah.
At the top of the article, he said, quote, I think every player understands it, meaning his fight with the arbitration system and all that. Says, I think every player understands it. At the same time, we feel like there were times in the year where you got to step up and just take the ball, and maybe it might be out of what you want. And I just, again, we started the show, we repeated it how connected this team is, how together they are. Tony said it himself on the roundtable this morning. When there's somebody in the clubhouse that's not that way, now that stands out. And either that person is going to be excised like a cancer, but if it stays there all year, well, now that attitude can spread just as much as a team first attitude can spread.
Yeah, I think that they liked him as a person, as a teammate. But when you're not doing that, what happens? Someone else in the bullpen has to pick up your slack. Someone else has to go out there when maybe that guy needs a night off or that guy needs to rest his arm. Someone's got to go pitch those innings, right? So I think that there's a trickle down effect there, and Joe said, and I thought this was just an interesting note. Sometimes it helps for fans to kind of understand a little bit more about the clubhouse. He said they never talked about it. It wasn't something that you teammates talked about. You just kind of respected everybody's usage and everybody's work, and everybody's got their own personal plan with the coaches and how they're used. But at the same time, I thought it was thoughtful comments from Joe, and something where it's like, look, it depends on the player, right? And Joe said that. He used the example of when he was asked to come out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And he had not gotten his big contract yet. He didn't really probably want to come out of the bullpen, but he did it anyways because that was what the team needed. We see that, example with so many other players as well. So I think there was an understanding, but then it kind of wore, like I said yesterday, it kind of wore down after a while. It kind of wore down on everybody else.
And I'm just so glad to be done with that time. I'm done. We're done with that. We're done with the, well, yeah, is he going to do this? But what about this? Soto was a good team player too. But look, it was the same thing. Like, well, is he going to be here? Is he not going to be here? What is it going to be the contract? Where is it going to be? Every single market he goes to, well, would you like to play here? Would you like to play there? And it's not the same. He's playing for his next contract. He's not playing for the team. Is he playing does his work benefit the team? Of course. Is he there putting in the work that the team asks of him? Of course. But the ultimate motivation, right, is for yourself, not for the team. This Padres team, not to put too fine a point on it, but in general, this team is playing for one another. And that's the difference. And I think that's why everyone has fallen in love with this team. Not just their success in the second half. They built the blocks of this throughout the 50 and 50 by coming together as a unit.
Yeah. And I mean, I think this is a team that understands that they might sacrifice some things for themselves in order for the good of the team. At the same time, I do think that there's always going to be times, right, in any situation, in any clubhouse, where someone needs to look out for themselves. Not maybe to the extent that they had last year, but certainly you want to be able to stand up for yourself at certain times. And sometimes that is for the good of the team. Maybe that you are not going to be able to be used in a certain situation, like the way that the manager wants to use you or the front office or whatever, and you want to speak up about it. This was different. I think this was something where it was like over time, just wore down because he was not going to budge on it.
Well, it looks like the auto thing didn't fire, so we better go.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we better go. Up next, it's Tony Gwynn. And it's Matt Scraby. And don't forget, it's Steven Strasburg in studio coming up at 2:20. We are going to be right back tomorrow at 10 with a full Friday show, including Crossing Streams with Media Melanie, full preview of the White Sox series. We'll get into it all with you tomorrow. Braden is out. He's flying to South Dakota. Safe travels, my friend.
North Dakota.
Whatever. One of them.
Have fun
one
in
of the
Grand
Dakotas.
Forks.
Grand Forks. I'll bring you a golden fork back.
Please bring me
Greg.
a large fork. So Adam's in for Braden next. See ya.
Bye.